Hey everybody, you're listening to a very special episode of KHANTEHNT. It's me, KHANTEHNT, bro, with Nate back there as usual. And we've got two special guests on this episode. Why don't you introduce yourselves in order of when your avatars appear on the Discord? I assume it's different for everybody, isn't it? Jackisboy,
yeah,
we got you here.
What is up, my fellow Chi-Bits? Welcome to the podcast, guys. Yeah, let's get it. I'm a boy. Yeah.
Let's do it.
Yeah. And we got Manmode.
Jack stole my introduction. We talked about this, Jack. So I'm gonna do the same thing. Fuck you. What is up, my fellow Chi-Bits? It's me, Chibi Reviews. Today we're gonna talk about some seasonal shows. What is up?
Oh, fantastic.
Yes.
I thought I could get
as
away
stated,
with it.
We're going to talk about the Winter 2020 anime season. The first episodes of, I think, like 13 or so shows have come out so far. We're talking about all of them. If something came out literally today, we did not cover it because, I mean, we had to have a cutoff somewhere, goddammit, but we're trying to be as current
it's
on the ball as possible.
It's 2 parts, so we don't have to fuck this thing up. So if your episode, if the show you want to hear ain't on this, just look for the next episode. It'll be there.
Right. That'll be on the 14th, I think. 14th or 15th. We'll figure out what works for everybody. But, yeah. So we're doing this in 2 parts. And then whatever shows we, want to continue following, or which you guys in the audience want us to continue following, will be the ones that we talk about each 4 episodes on the regular KHANTENT coverage. So this way, we all know everything that's out there for us. And we can make a good decision. So I guess we're just going to go through this list in order of release dates. So the very first one listed on MAL, even though it was not the first one listed on MAL before, but now it is for some reason, Koisuru Asteroid. Nate, do you want to tell me about this show?
I would be delighted. Koisuru Asteroid, which I think translates to something like Asteroid Love Story or some shit like that.
Yeah, some bullshit.
It is the wonderful tale of a girl who grapples with both hands with a fistful of gay panic when she learns that her beloved boy friend she promised to name an asteroid after was actually a girl, and they meet up together once they're in middle school, high school, one of these ones, and they join the astronomy club, which is actually the Earth Sciences Club, and they just do cute girl discovering their bodies and the stars together. It's going to be a great time. Basically, to me, it pretty much seems like this season's Yuru Camp, perhaps slightly less charming, still a lot of good stuff.
Slightly more Yuri.
I think
slightly more Yuri.
Yeah,
that's
definitely
true.
More Yuri. I
Yuri
think that
camp.
this one, I mean, this is coming from Dogakobo. This studio has become sort of known for doing cute girl shows with really great animation, really squishy, bouncy animation.
Yep, they got that.
And Yuri. I mean, they did a lot of hardcore Yuri last year. They had two shows about lesbian pedophiles, explicitly in the text of the narrative. They were lesbian pedophiles.
That's the niche, man. That's the niche.
Yeah, it's my niche, is what it is.
Hit it hard and fast.
Definitely not mine.
I mean, Koisuru Asteroid here. I don't know. I might be the only person who watched this episode with a boner almost all the way through.
Oh, Jesus
Is that
Christ.
just me?
I
was into it.
hetero bullshit at the beginning of the episode, though. I had to wait till it was full gay. Then I was into it.
Yeah.
When it became full gay, I was pretty into it. I was pretty into it for a while.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's when I dropped it.
I called it. I called it when they were kids that it was going to be a girl, but yeah.
Things were a little too ambiguous. I mean, if you know the studio.
I spoiled myself with the description.
There you go. There you go.
Sign you.
So,
hey. Let me just say that this show was... I don't have a ton to say about it, so I'll just say that this show was relaxing. It was enjoyable, similar to like Yuru Camp or one of these ones like this. I like it. I recommend it. And Ao is extremely cute. And just seeing her reactions was quite enjoyable. After she spends a night chatting happily with her friend she's been reunited with. They think she's a cool beauty, but she's got that big, dumb grin on her face. Ooh, it was very endearing. Good stuff. Good stuff.
I mean... So one of the things I'll say about Japanese media and their portrayal of gay undertones in general is that it does seem to be that there's strong correlation of gayness and soothingness in its presentation in anime, because as it's often been said of yaoi, that like women are into yaoi because it allows them to explore basically male-female relationships, but without the like all the stigmas that come from having a female character. You know, like by projecting onto a male character, it puts more distance between the reader and the relationship, so that they don't have to feel like they have to connect to it as much, basically. And I think the same thing goes for shows like this for men. These yuri shows that they're very like, you know, it's not so much about a compelling relationship. It's not about like telling a great romantic story. It's about having cute girls who have cutesy romantic feelings, but without the, you know, threat of sex that comes from having those feelings towards a man, you know?
Yeah.
That like, as long as it's these pure girls who, you know, they don't really seem like lesbians, and you can't really picture them fucking like in the show.
Speak for yourself, buddy.
But you can easily picture them, like the show gives you all the materials to imagine you know, a slightly different version of it. So, you know, if you watch it.
So how did you imagine it, Digi?
Oh boy, hot
In
and
detail,
steamy, let me
please
tell you.
me.
Well, first of all, they're underneath the stars.
Of course.
Because this is a show about astronomy, I guess. I was surprised by the relative lack of great star art in this episode.
Yeah,
you know?
maybe they're saving that for
Like, I've seen some
3.
really impressive... she did say that, like, the stars are being, like, clouded by the nearby city or whatever. So
When
it's not as though they were...
Even when they look at the stars through the telescope, it's just like a dot. It's not like anything shiny or pretty. It's just like, hey, look at that dot there.
I noticed it's a 4-coma adaptation, which is unsurprising given how it feels. So maybe just like what they're adapting. In a 4-coma, you're probably not going to have too many beautiful double spreads of like starry skies. So maybe that's limiting what they're doing. I don't know.
I will say that even for what the show is, I didn't think that it had like a grabbing kind of premise. Even for like a after school club activity, I didn't think the setup is all that interesting.
Well, I mean, the premise kind of cucks itself when it admits like, hey, just so you know, people don't give enough of a shit about astronomy, so we had to cram it in with another club, the Earth Sciences one or whatever, or geology or whatever. So that's a little funny, but
the club stuff wasn't really the driving force. So I kind of enjoyed this. I was more a fan of like the relationship they had. Like throughout the middle of it.
I think that's the focus.
Yeah.
I think it's fair to say that the show really is not about astronomy. And like there are some of these cute girl shows, like you watch it and you have this strong sense of like, wow, the person who wrote this knows everything about biking. Like
this is not
they clearly
like that.
spent a lot of time researching. No. Maybe there will be more of that in the future, but it's just so clear that the draw is not the stars. Again, I've seen other anime with like really gorgeous depictions of space and the stars and astronomy. This is not that show, you know? Like, go watch a different, better astronomy show if you don't. This is a Yuri cute girls. Cute girls do very lighthearted, easygoing astronomy. I mean, like, this is more of like an Iyashikei cute girl comedy than anything. I mean, it looks pretty nice, but I agree with Manmode. There really is no hook in this show. Like, I know that their romance isn't going to progress anywhere, so I'm not like excited.
Don't bank on that. Yeah.
Until you said that this studio is kind of known for doing this, like even knowing that, I'm still like it just doesn't feel like a show where they're actually going to commit to.
This is not my type of show anyway, so I was never even going to like it. But I think for the type of show this is, like the girls kind of all just feel the same personality-wise. There was no really like any. This is not the type of show, but there wasn't even like any conflict or drama. Like the blue hair girl, right? She has like this problem where she can't talk to like other girls because her words hurt another person before. But even that, I didn't feel like that was resolved immediately. She talks to others just
I don't even
fine.
remember that. I can't, like, thinking back, trying to remember that.
You're remembering it wrong, you fool. She was, like, she said a word that was like, she said something about being wet instead of, like, damp.
Said some dirty shit.
was lewd. It was interpreted lewdly, and that gave her a big complex.
Yeah, that's right.
Which is kind of funny.
Right, I do remember that. But it was such. It just seemed like it was just a one-off joke, not even like really like a serious characterization.
There's nothing to like work on as a character progression there or anything.
Like you said, this is based on a 4-koma, and that is a 4-koma joke.
Right.
You know?
Right.
It has just 3. It only has 4 steps to it. You know, and the fourth one is the punchline that takes us out of the backstory. So like. Yeah, I don't expect anything deep from this. I don't think Doga Kobo is trying to transform this in its anime adaptation. You know, it seems like it's probably a pretty straightforward adaptation of a 4-koma. I mean, I think that the type of people who are gonna, if you are a fan of Doga Kobo and you know what you're expecting from this, you're getting exactly what you expect.
Yeah.
So if you like that, you'll like this. If you don't like that, you will not like this. There's nothing additional to it. There's no new components. Nothing has been added to the 4 girls formula here at all.
Well, that's for sure.
It is purely
except now there's 5 girls. There's 5 now. We did it.
Well, there's usually 5.
Yeah, the second one one of them dies in the second episode.
Oh shit! Dude, it turns dark.
And the Earth
Monica,
Club really
though.
gets to shine when they dig her grave and then bury her. And ooh, sediments. Ooh, that's how interesting this mineral.
That's hilarious. All right, well, I guess we'll move on from that then. Well, should we do like a yay or nay on recommend? I mean, that was basically my recommendation.
Yeah, let's give it like a yay or nay.
I don't know.
Watch it if you obviously think you'll like it. Otherwise, do not. Jackisboy.
Yeah, I don't know if I'd recommend it. I feel like the club stuff, because they were they stuffed it in like the last 5 minutes of a lot of exposition about like how space works, and I thought that was very boring, and I was like, But overall, it's fine. It's okay. Watch it if I agree with you, Digi. Just like watch it if you're into the Doga Koba aesthetic and kind of vibe.
Yeah, I mean, it really depends on what you're looking for. So, like, I would definitely recommend it because I did enjoy watching this because I'm developing more of an appreciation, perhaps as I get older and watch more shit, for things that aren't, you know, the thing I initially came to anime for probably. But this was relaxing. It was nice. Like, I watched Yuru Camp recently. Really enjoyed that. It's totally different from, I don't know, the classical kind of shows I liked. But it's just, it's calm, relax. If you like fucking Hitomori Sketch or whatever, you're gonna like this, even though it's just worse in all ways.
I wouldn't go that far because Hitomori Sketch is more depth and actual shit going on in it. But like, I mean, like, I would more say like if you enjoy the ones that aren't special, you know, if you enjoy cute girl shows, even when they're not necessarily. I mean, like, I don't think this is a bad one. I can't imagine myself watching more than like 2 or 3 episodes of this. It's one of those shows where it's like I didn't drop it because nothing offended me, but I can see myself starting episode 2 and realizing I don't remember the faces of any of the characters, and that'll be when I go.
Yeah.
Oh,
you don't remember
the
sizzling character development
of
vice president who is slightly miffed about being underrepresented in the club versus the astronomy people with their earth science guys. What a deep character. Okay,
What show are you talking about?
It doesn't matter.
Already forgot.
All right.
Let's
move on.
Yeah.
The next show that we all watched, I hope, is Somali to Mori no Kami-sama, or Somali and the God of the Forest. This was wait, Jack, have you seen this one?
Yeah.
You want to tell us about it?
It's about like this forest golem guy. He's like a magical being, and he finds like this cute little girl in the forest. It's kind of like a father-daughter relationship kind of anime. And they go around. They're trying to find her a human family, basically, and it's their little adventure. I like this one a lot, actually. I like this one a lot.
I thought it was good. I liked it as well. And like the cool thing about obviously the hook is that like it's a human child in a world where humans are possibly extinct.
Well, she is not a human child. She is a. Didn't he say?
You're not
going to
say Minotaur,
kind of,
are you? God damn it! Did you pay?
No,
attention?
No, that's not what it is.
She is pretending to be a Minotaur because humans are hunted in this world. She has those
little horns,
And it ripped.
This was a plot point.
God damn it!
I don't know how I missed.
No, they're gonna kill her if they find out she's a human. So they disguise her with the little hood that they could push over easily.
That is horny.
Look, I was distracted by something in this anime, which is the absolutely beautiful artwork.
Fuck yeah.
That was kind of
nice.
all I could focus on.
Artwork and the fucking music. I thought the OST was beautiful.
One of the best soundtracks of the season for sure. Let's fucking give some shout outs here because the guy who did the art direction in this, I saw something about him on Twitter that he's a French guy, Vincent Nguiem. Nghiem. I don't know how to pronounce that, but he's done artwork on various shows with Satellite before, but this was his first like full art direction role. So apparently he really wanted to do something special, and by God, he did. Holy fuck. It looks amazing. The music is by Yoshimata, who did the music in Koiwa Amaigari no... God damn.
Japanese, dude.
After the Rain, which aired last year. But yeah, so they're both relative newcomers, and they're both fucking killing it. It's really exciting, and like this is something I'll probably say about a lot of shows this season, which I meant to preface this whole podcast by saying this is like the best anime season of all time.
I was kind of hoping for more dog shit and was disappointed, at least with the first half that we got through. I really like the absolute trash, but there wasn't like anything I can, you know.
Well,
There's some trash.
Did you get around to Darwin's game?
Okay, I did. I mean, I did.
Masterpiece. Masterpiece.
Okay,
right
we'll get to it, I guess. I
We'll
watched
get to it. But yeah, so Somali
Also,
and the
World
Forest
War
Spirit-
III. That's not a good anime.
Lol.
No, the plot arcs don't make any sense.
So many plot holes. Yeah.
Yeah. So Somali in the forest. Like it was mostly the audio visual experience that just totally had me, and the fact that it's got this like mishmash world where, like you guys said, there's for the most part no humans, and often not even that many humanoids. Like there's lots of weird creatures in this show, which is always exciting when like because you just get to see stuff that you're like, what the fuck is that thing? And,
including
like,
our lead character, who's a weird golem man with a very scary face and a creepy ass eye.
He's a scary dude, but he's kind of
I love
nice.
his design.
He's great though.
I also have to say he's a much better written character than some of the other shows I've seen with this plot. So, or particularly, there's a manga. It also had a recent OVA. I don't know if any of you guys have seen The Girl from the Other Side.
Nope.
It's a manga that's about this like young girl who's lost in the woods. She gets picked up by this like weird demonic looking forest spirit man who basically fathers her. It's very similar to this. And the attitude of the young girl in these shows always is that she's just super precious, just this precocious, adorable, precious child that you want to protect with everything you have. But what I liked about this show was that the Golem character is not... He's not human. He does not have emotions in a traditional sense. But he can, like... He basically can develop a sense of empathy through understanding. Like, just, okay, I understand... Like he struggles to understand why she wants to do the things that she wants to do, and then once he does understand, he's like, okay, so I don't. This is illogical that you are this way, but I understand.
Whoa,
that you are
did
this way.
you?
Now
What
I can
tier
deal
of
with
the
it,
autism tier list does that put him on? If that's what he is,
well, I mean, literally the maximum full rope.
I guess you're
would
right.
be the fully. Well, you know,
That's
the funny
the
thing
ending
about
of
it.
autism, being a robot.
Well,
yeah, kind of.
the thing about the thing about my autism test is that you also have to factor in IQ to really get a sense of because this guy would be maximum autism but also maximum IQ. He has no ability to read social cues, but as soon as he understands how they function, he understands that they will reproduce the same way.
Duality
every
of man.
time. And if something different happens, then it must mean there's another variable we need to account for. So like. I thought it was really interesting throughout the episode how they will use silence on the part of the character to imply like what would be an emotional reaction or an emotional beat, but it's really him just kind of taking a minute to try to figure out what the fuck is going on, like, because he can't understand the emotion, and then like later on once he gets it, he explains it like, I didn't understand why you did this, but now I understand why you did this, so I can think about it in the future. And
this would be an excellent anime for sociopaths to watch to like learn how to fake being like a good dad, or
or autists.
That's
anybody
it.
if you don't understand why like if you, think about it though. Most dads don't get their children to the fullest extent. Like I think that the average person doesn't have that great a sense of like how psychology works or like why people develop, like what understandings people have at various stages of the development. It's like it's hard to get into the head of a kid, you know, especially if you're somebody who's not related to them. You don't know why they act the way they do, and it's all, you just have to observe it all and be like, okay, I'm starting to figure this out, you know. And yeah, it's a daddy training show for sure.
I'm sensing there's more and more as the years go on, more like parenthood propaganda creeping into my anime.
No, it's because it's
true.
I mean, this is happening. It's happening in anime, manga, and video games on a huge level because all of these things blew up in the 80s and 90s, and everybody who grew up with it is old now. You know, like I'll probably be a dad within the next couple years. There's going to be 1,000 shows aimed directly at me, you know, because they know that I'm a dad now, and I'm still watching anime because we're all fucking man babies in this generation. So,
I mean, I like it. It's adorable, so I don't mind.
Oh,
it.
she
we
was
all
so
like
cute,
it.
man. Oh,
I don't know how. Man,
I will say, I will ask. I'm not sure if this is like an Iyashike thing, or if it's gonna be more plot heavy, because I looked at the tags and it definitely does have an Iyashike tag. So I'm just wondering, like, if this show will have any like strong plot progression.
Well, I'm gonna go ahead and try to figure that out.
It's got the main hook, right, of like trying to find humans. That could be something that's just the overarching impetus to Quest in general, though, that never really changes that much. This feels more of a experiential and like relationship based show, obviously. So like there probably won't be a ton on that front, but there could be. I don't know.
I just decided to look up the manga because it's based on a web manga.
Right.
The manga looks like fucking Berserk. Like unbelievable. It's like just really rich, detailed fantasy artwork. But it does look like it's probably more slice of life and dialogue driven than Here, I'll just link you guys the latest chapter that I'm looking at right now. I mean, I don't see the main characters at the start of this chapter, so I don't know what it's about, but it seems like it's probably more slice of life. But the art, holy
cool.
fuck.
This does look like Berserk almost.
Although I wonder if this got the basically the mob psych or the One Punch treatment of like it was a web novel, then they made a manga, and now they're making an anime based off the improvements in the manga. I don't think
so. I mean, even Made in Abyss is based on a web comic too, and that looked
really
amazing.
I've only read the manga.
I didn't know that shit.
Yeah. No, I mean the manga itself was a web manga.
I see. It still comes out very rarely, which is unfortunate. Well, anyway, I can sum up my thoughts on the show in general, which is I basically already said I like the relationship. The art is in fact good. The music is enjoyable. I like the designs of the main characters. Basically, the quest is somewhat intriguing, but it's kind of a generic plot, and I don't know. I wasn't like that blown away by the art to the point where I am really hooked in to see what goes on. So for me, I probably would watch like maybe an episode or two more, but feeling kind of lukewarm overall on this one.
Okay. Yeah. I can easily see watching this whole show just on the strength of, like, I could just get really fucking turned and veg out and look at this show. And
no, for sure.
You know?
Oh my! Just hearing this girl's voice, this little girl's voice is like heaven on earth, bro. I was so fucking happy. I think it's like the voice of Rem from ReZero, the only good character.
Murenase Iori.
Yeah. I was looking at her and I was like, this girl's a fucking queen. Oh, Hestia. Yeah, I haven't watched that, so I don't know. But
she was Rem as well.
She was Rem, and she was what's her name from Gakugurashi. And I'm like, okay, this show's a masterpiece. I'm just gonna watch all of it, maybe.
Mm-hmm. I definitely agree with Nate. If this show turns out to have like a strong plot and like nice themes, I will watch it. Otherwise, I don't see myself watching more than one or two episodes.
Do you hear that, everybody? Boo, 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 boo. This show is not man mode. Put it in the trash.
Is Somali man mode?
By the way, who else thinks it's hilarious that her name is Somali?
I don't know what the fuck that's about, but
is her name Somali?
Yeah.
Piece that together. Okay, shit.
I mean, she's cute.
Yeah, it's Somali and the forest god.
Oh, okay, that makes sense.
Maybe because like maybe it's gonna have significance because like she was like a slave or something when he met her. Maybe she didn't have a name. He's gonna like say her significance is gonna be there.
I did have to think like, she named Somali.
Oh wait, not because she's from
like,
Somalia and they have pirates and they human traffic. Hopefully not.
That would be
where have I
incredible.
read about this in my ancient Earth history book? I know the perfect name for a slave. I got it here.
I was honestly thinking like, well, Somalia is like one of the worst places to live on Earth. That's
what
right?
I hear.
Like, is that why they picked that for the name?
Maybe.
All right, well, let's move on to
right.
fucking. I'm excited because we're gonna talk about Darwin's game.
Yes.
Oh,
I
yeah,
love this shit.
right.
Masterpiece.
Manmode, do you want to introduce this one?
Yeah. So Darwin's game is like one of those death games where they have like
That's
a
all
game.
you have to say, honestly.
Yeah.
Yeah, pretty
it's
much.
exactly like
It's
every
just a
single
death
one
game.
of those death games you've ever seen.
Oh
Yeah,
my
it's
fucking
the
god.
same as King's game. It's the same as what's it called, Mirai Nikki. All of the fucking. Kind of
bro,
like
the main character's
Battle Royale
power
death
is
games.
literally to create weapons out of his hand. It's a death game. It's literally Shiro from Fate Stay Night. That is exactly his power. I don't know what the fuck they were thinking they could get away with by just doing the exact same thing. But I'm too smart for Darwin's game.
I did not even think about Fate Stay Night because Fate has such a unique take on the death game premise that it really doesn't feel the same. Whereas, like, if you've seen the first episode of Mirai Nikki, this is the same episode.
And
like,
it even has
minus
like
the interesting elements.
Yuno
of Mirai.
Gasai character at the end.
Yeah.
Where he fights this super beautiful girl that, by the way, is voiced by Reina Ueda, my favorite voice actress, and it's I'm a sucker for that kind of shit, so I might watch this show just for her.
Boop, 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 boop.
And-
Manmode show.
And he beats her, and then all of a sudden she's like his slave or something. So
I fucking
God.
this is okay. The show sucks.
Plot is
that
fucking
sucks.
so nonsensical.
Oh my
okay,
God.
there was a show just a couple years ago called Doreiku or Slave, which was a very similar premise. It was an app game that causes people to have a battle, and then whoever loses in that one, it was just they become your slave, not that they die. But like Doreiku really used this slavery gimmick in tons of interesting ways. Like, they tried to find every permutation of what it could mean for someone to have to, like, they're trading slaves back and forth. Like, because characters aren't dying, characters remain relevant to the plot after their arc is over, in fun ways.
Okay.
That show is decent. This one has a lot of the same imagery and iconography. Again, it's an app game. It seems that you become someone's slave if they don't kill you, but they lose.
Yeah.
I don't even know if she was
If
being
they
literal about
surrender,
that.
yeah.
Like, it was hard to tell if she was like, oh, I'm your slave now because of the game, or if she just feels that way because she also falls in love with them.
Yep.
In a scene that looks exactly like Ari Ferreira from last year. But just like everything in this looked and felt exactly like something I'd seen before. You got the edgy teddy bear character, the Five Nights at Freddy's / Momo. What's the fucking name of the thing?
it was
Danganronpa.
Whatever, that bear, I can't remember his fucking
The
name.
one in Persona. All these fucking edgy bears, edgy cartoon character. The bear. Like, okay, I already was annoyed with this show when I saw the bear in the trailer. As I saw this edgy bear with a knife, and I was like, oh, great, But then, in the show, you see that he has a 666 on his back.
He sure does.
As well.
That's just part of the uniform.
Just in case. And it's not even... This bear is not even, like, actually, like, a weird, mysterious mascot character. It's just a guy. It's just a guy in a bear costume playing the game.
I think it was implying that, like, this man in the suit is the guy who works the job of being the mascot for the team, and he says at the end, like, my job was boring anyway, as he's dying. I think
Why
that's what it
does
was
he have a
trying to say.
666
That
on
it's
his
pure
back?
coincidence.
He's so
It's
edgy.
coincidence.
Jersey.
It just happened
that
that
fucking
way,
edgy.
man. This is a very edgy
Bro,
city
you
they
can't-
live in.
You can't use the edgy word. That's not cool anymore.
I mean, when I
it's so
saw that
cool.
this is like a superpower thing based on, like a mobile phone thing, I mean, I wanted to kill myself, but I get that we're in a modern age. Like, this is what I guess kids would like think is the logical way to do
Okay.
it now. I don't know.
I thought about this a little bit because it's pretty popular, if I'm not wrong. This
Yeah,
anime.
it's like
It's got a
pretty
good number
Well,
of views, yeah.
It's popular because the manga was already successful. I think the manga might even be out in the States. I'm not sure. But it's all translated. So people have been following the manga, and the anime had the two double-length first episode.
Just for the
that came out
record,
really
I'm
early
scrolling down.
in the
That is
season.
the #1 most watched show of anything this whole season.
That's
So-
not
Except for sequels, except for like sequel stuff. Yeah.
Shit.
These death game shows are almost always get popular even if they're crap.
They just give you that
And-
instant
money.
gratification of like an instant life or death risking that
Here's
dopamine
what I think
hit.
it is.
Yeah.
These shows are kind of almost inherently nihilistic, right? It's like characters have to kill each
Yeah,
other,
yeah.
and there's like a bunch of death. And the demographic that this appeals most to is like 15 and 16-year-olds.
Right.
And we throw the word kind of like it's just edgy and for teenagers, but I do think that these types of shows have a place. When you're when you're like entering high school and the world is changing, and your perception of the world is way different than what you thought was. I think shows like this, why they appeal to 15 and 16-year-olds, is because it kind of like conditions you. It like prepares you for the harsher reality
it
of
reflects
things.
the way that your life has been going, which is this breakdown of your ideals and this realization.
And I
Pretty
think
much.
you hit a point in your
and
teenage.
overwhelmingly so.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that for our generation in particular, like, because these death game shows are really popular now. Like the last 10 years, Hunger Games was a big part of it. But like even before that, like I think that millennials are surrounded by the idea that we live in the apocalypse, that like I think the average young person really thinks that like they have no control. Like the world is
Hey,
completely
look at
fucked.
this World
It's
War
been
III
that way
meme
forever.
that just happened
Yeah.
when, look, surprise, surprise, it seems to have fizzled out for the most part. And if,
it's just like it's the feeling that they can't do anything, and like it's because most of these people, I think that when you're young, the world seems much bigger than it really is. And like when you get a little older, the world starts shrinking. The older you get, the more I think that when you're a kid, your world is so small that like when you hit that teenage years and you realize how big it is and how much fucked shit is going on, it just is so overwhelming. You feel that nihilism, that hopelessness. But then as you grow older, you're like, oh well, now that I understand why all these things are happening, I see who's at fault and what could be done and like how to avoid, my life being shitty like this. But
I mean,
I totally agree with you that like that age and that's why they have to make these shows every year,
pretty much,
because it's always someone's first.
That's right.
It's,
That's right.
It only has it doesn't have staying power. It will always have to be remade for the current 14-year-olds in the same way that the isekai shows and all the other shit will. It's just like there will always be someone who's seeing it for the first time who didn't. I mean, Mirai Nikki's a fucking decade old now, so literally kids watching this show have not seen it.
Yep.
Which is
Yeah.
mind-blowing to me because Mirai Nikki's one of the biggest anime of all time in terms of like how many people have seen it. But even still, it's that was the balloon then, and this is the balloon now.
pretty much.
Indeed. But,
It's fucking terrible. It is fucking
It is.
terrible.
when it comes to
So
quality
bad.
of the actual writing and like the battle going on here, there's okay,
shit.
why is it even called Darwin's Game? It's because like
I
Darwin
have no
has some tie to like evolution and like the sigils, the unique power is like, oh, when you're bitten by the snake when you enter the game, it gives you an evolution. Like Darwin, remember that guy, guys? Remember how he invented evolution?
Remember Charles Darwin, guys?
It just blew my mind.
Wow. But like I think about like the mechanics in here, and like I understand this is for I'm not trying to be an asshole. It's for an audience that isn't like looking probably for like a big intellectual commitment. They're looking for something to just watch and enjoy. But then I just think about how I just reread Greed Island of Hunter x Hunter, and like that game has 1,000 times the depth of like this supposedly life and death situation going on in this show that's solely about the game, and yet the game seems utterly shallow, totally devoid of originality. I've seen a 1,000 things like this before, whereas Togashi's based in Red Pilled, and Greed Island is the greatest card game of all time. So I mean, what can I say other than it's trash?
And it looks like trash.
The
Fuck Hunter x Hunter. It doesn't have the
animation-
teddy bear. I don't support Hunter x Hunter. I want the edgy teddy bear in my shows. That's what I want.
animation direction. I don't know if a lot of people really like understand the idea of animation direction, because like we all know about key animators. Like there are individual people who are animating a scene, but like in order for it to like be coherent and make sense, someone has to like check over it and make sure that like all the images flow into each other well, and that like, you know, the backgrounds match the characters' movement and stuff like that. And just, this show is uglier than fuck. It is so fuck ugly. And I don't even think a lot of people will appreciate it because it's shiny. It's got all the post-processing.
That's all they gotta
effects.
do.
It does have a lot of like ambitious animation, I think.
Yes.
I think it tries to be ambitious a lot of the times. It just fucking fails.
It fails, and it's because, like, when characters are running towards the camera, you know, for instance, like, they are subtly changing in size because you don't know how to do the foreshortening just right, you know, like, and that happens all the time. I mean, everybody on Twitter memed on the fucking chain scene, but literally, there's a scene where this girl is, like, mind-controlling a chain spear to follow the main character.
Yeah.
And there's, like, 4 consecutive long shots of him running in slow-mo as the chain follows him, and it looks
it's right
so
behind him each of those
fucking
times.
retarded. Oh my god. It's
It
literally
does.
because it's just like swirling behind him, but because the chain is CG and there's no sense of speed or movement, they're literally in slow-mo.
Dude, I
so
mean,
that
this,
he can think.
this sequence was debunked in Monty Python's Holy Grail with the fucking, like, approaching the castle from, like, across the thing. I mean, it's the ultimate, I don't know, solution to this problem that these fucks just have not figured out, I guess. I don't know what they're doing over there, but they're not learning these basic lessons.
I have
I
to
think they
assume that-
tried like hard. I think they really tried, especially with the chain scene. I mean, it's ambitious scene to animate. Like
It
that
is, but why?
That is a hard
Why
thing
would-
to do.
As
I
the
know,
guy who
I know.
tweeted it
I
said,
agree
why
with
would you animate this? Because I'm imagining in the manga that you see images of just a man running and a chain behind him and a huge thought bubble of all his thoughts.
Probably.
And the implication is not that he thought all of that in that short amount of time. It's just well, okay, that's a problem with the writing in this show, just in general. The writing is fucking terrible. Everybody just explains things all the time in a very like hammy. Like, there's a scene at the start where this guy is running from the bear, and he's just like out loud narrating like the plot of the show. Like,
plenty of that.
oh man, I should call my friend. Except that we did that money laundering scheme, so he might not pick up, and that's why I'm getting chased by this bad guy who wants to kill me. You know. And then it cuts to like the classroom, and a dude comes up to the main character, and he's like, "Oh, did you hear about the fact that this happened?" And then like leans in on his name, like, you know, I can't remember his name, Pseudo-kun, like making sure everybody says each other's name in their first sentence, like to each other, so that we know all their names. It's just so expository. Everything feels so like by the numbers. Like, there's nothing. The main character has literally no personality. We don't learn anything about him.
There was one
He seems to
outstanding
be, I don't know,
characteristic.
a good tactician, I suppose.
He might be a decent tactician, but I've got to say, of all the shows we watch, this is the dumbest motherfucker all season, no doubt about it. His ability to process and absorb new information has got to be among the worst I've ever seen. I remember thinking that distinctly many times watching this episode, that this man is so far behind where I think your average viewer would be on like absorbing what's going on.
It totally breaks the narrative, because he's the smartest character in the fucking show.
Oh, but dude,
he
okay.
outsmarts everybody.
How about that
he
shot?
outwits them.
How about that
this
shot?
fucking moron.
His dying friend, who happens to have the power of can see people's like auras. This is his power, so he could see the Invisible Man. But as his friend is running off to go defend them, he can see Kaname-kun or whatever the fuck his name is. I know you'll win because you have the strongest aura I've ever seen. Guys, brilliant writing. Like, it's not like the author designed the situation just to suck the dick of his main character more. No, this was just the inherent power of this man who just burst forth from the writer's pen, almost as if he always existed.
How about when he's on the train and he runs the application and he sees the fucking teddy bear character? He sees the teddy bear.
As he's been told
character
so
on
many
the train.
times not to use the
he's
app,
trying
and he
to
just
kill him. The teddy bear guy's trying to kill him. He's running away with his friend, and his friend is like, "You know, this is all because of this Darwin's game," and he's like, "What are you talking about?"
Dude, and that bear on the first of all, we can immediately see he's holding a giant knife. Why aren't the characters like he's like, "Oh, that's weird. There's a bear guy there." Doesn't even notice until he's like right in his face. Then he's like, "Whoa, that's a little close." And why does he have a knife? Like, what could he be doing with this knife? That's a little strange to have on public transportation. you got a license for that, Gov? I don't know what the fuck he was thinking.
Well, it's
fully
sort
retarded.
of implied when he's running away from the bear and screaming, call the police, as it chases him with a knife. Everybody's just like, oh, is this a promotion?
Okay, we have to talk about
Is this
that.
a commercial? Like,
We have to discuss that because it is explicitly stated by Girl that you can't interact with like other people while you're playing the game. But we see him interacting with people, talking to them. He runs to the cops
Oh my
for help.
God, you're right.
What did she mean by that? You literally can interact with other people and other things. Explain.
Oh, boy.
I don't understand. I don't think they thought it through.
This show, the problem with this show is, I mean, like when Manmode was saying about it being nihilistic, it's worldview, right? These shows always come out of someone's worldview. They're writing the world as they see it. People are dumb, you know?
Sure.
Like, people are dumb. They're gonna find themselves in stupid, fucked up situations. They're gonna kill each other for selfish, petty reasons, you know? And like, when you see, I understand like the impetus of these shows to present the world that way, because it's like, you know, it plays to our darker feeling, like, yeah, the world really is like that. Yeah, they're all scumbags. They just die, you know.
Indeed,
but like,
indeed.
You can do that well by really leaning into it and everything, and like really making it fun. This show, it just seems like the author is a moron and therefore writes morons. You know, like, it's not that humans are all dumb. It's that the author is not intelligent enough to present people as the regular level of intelligence people should be. You know?
Yes, it's a lack
That's
of writing
true.
skill, in my opinion.
But it might also be just like intentionally, like, you know, I'm just gonna write a stupid death game.
I guess
and
that's
it's gonna
true.
be
I guess
popular.
that's true.
Well, I see this as extremely cynical, and I gotta tell you, a big part of the disappointment for this is created by Flip Flops. The original manga is created by a duo called Flip Flops, who got their start as Toho doujin creators. Not necessarily porn ones, but like they had these like fun, crazy like action storyline, you know, like more Toho stuff. And then they created a manga called Nekogami Yao Yorozu, which had an anime adaptation. I liked it. It's a show about basically like, you know, XPs of Toho characters, like they're just Toho but with different designs, you know, just hanging out and having a good time. It was just a slice of life show about a bunch of gods like chilling. They looked like Tohos. It was fun. The manga has never been translated except for one chapter that I led the translation on.
Oh, how nice.
And then my translator abandoned me, so I couldn't do any more. But nobody's picked it up. It's been forgotten by history. The anime is on like 16,000 lists on Mal, which is nothing, you know. Darwin's Game, with its 73 chapters that have all been translated, it's 63,000 lists it appears on Mal. It just makes me think like this. It's obvious why this exists. Like, Nekogami Yao Yorozu did nothing. That was the passion project. That was these guys doing something that's a natural extension of what they had done before. They see no success. They want to be famous manga authors. Write a fucking death game. It prints money. Done.
Filled with brilliant characters, like that one guy from that gang who likes to pickle fingers to then drink to gain the courage of his enemies. What an amazing character.
That was probably the best scene, actually. It's the guy who pickles the fingers of Yakuza. I mean, I'll give it to the show. It's very violent. I enjoyed the giant blood sprays, and it didn't hold back on that front. I always like to see a good of violence, but this show made me laugh in times I don't think it was supposed to, more than times I was.
Yeah, I gotta say, there was a thing that I also enjoyed, but in regards to that, I gotta say, Reina Ueda, my legal wife, what are you doing? Please come back home.
She's getting paid,
I miss you.
She's
Why are you
cashing them
being
checks.
bad shows?
She's probably getting paid nice for this show, so I don't know.
No doubt. This is gonna do well.
She's not coming.
I'll
home.
double it. Please come back.
You know you're
The
going to watch
Gridman
this
money.
whole show just to hear her suck his cock all season.
I
right?
know, Deji. Please.
Man, she's fucking boring. I don't get this obsession with voice. Who wants to hear this girl talk? She's just gonna say the same dumb lines.
Anime girls are cute,
Fuck
dude.
you.
Fuck.
Whatever, man.
Anime girls are fucking
This one's
cute.
not even
You're
cute.
not
Literally,
into
I
it.
would rather fucking watch that Asteroid show and hear like that cute blue hair girl as opposed to this one, because this girl sucks. That girl at least
I
does
didn't even get to
something.
the point in the episode
Nate,
where she
you
showed
just
up, but I'm
haven't found
defending
the
him,
one
bro.
yet.
I'm defending him.
All right.
I like.
Don't
I
be like
I forget her
love
name.
doesn't exist
I
and
like
all
listening
that
to
shit. You just
anything
haven't
that
found the one.
Nia's voice actress and fucking Nono from Die Buster, whatever her name is, she might be my favorite,
Yes.
but whatever.
Okay.
I don't
I
care.
agree.
All right, I'm done.
Anybody
I'm done
have
with
any
the show.
more thoughts about Darwin's game?
Don't watch it.
It's fucking
The sound
terrible.
design is really, really bad. All the sound
Oh,
effects sound like,
I forgot
oh my
about that.
God. That's why I dropped it. I dropped the show twice, and I only made it 6 minutes into it. I watched it
Wow.
Yeah.
again this morning, trying to watch it. But, like, whenever anyone, like, hits a table or something, it sounds like they're smashing metal. It was like Berserk 2016,
dude.
swinging
I
the
watched-
sword. I
I watched the whole 2 episodes, bro.
I could not get through this, dude. I wanted to. I really wanted
I
to.
think somebody on Twitter described it as dubstep sound design. And,
Yeah,
It
like the
literally
bass
does have a
boosted.
dubstep song in there.
Yeah. But
Yeah, the
aside from the
music's
music,
bad.
I mean, the sound design itself, everything is whoosh. I mean, it's very similar to the way that, like, JoJo and Planet With, that
Yeah.
guy's sound design is, but this was worse.
Why
Even
did they do
worse,
that?
yeah.
Like that's a kind of a new thing where the sound design is so like overblown. I don't know why they do
I mean,
that.
in the case of JoJo and Planet With, it's just that sound designer, like the guy he's done a ton of shows, and so that's just how his shit sounds. But this one is not by him; it just is I guess an imitator. So great.
Who failed.
Now we're gonna have double the amount of that fucking.
Everyone's inspired.
Style.
now. Shit.
All right, let's talk about Hentatsu next. This is a 1-minute short, so there's not going to be a ton to say, but it comes from director Tatsuki and studio Yaoyorozu, who brought us Kemono Friends Season 1, and last year the very underrated Kemuri Kusa. I still haven't finished it, so, I'm on the chopping block here too. But Hentatsu, I guess there was a 11-minute short that they did in 2018 of these characters, and now they've brought them back for a full 12 episodes of 1-minute episodes. Again, not much to say. The first episode is pretty much just a fight scene, and then the main characters revealing that the nature of this show is not to have fight scenes. They just felt like
it was a
doing that
gag.
for episode 1. But I felt like my impression of this was, they've gotten better at doing fight scenes. Like, I've seen Kemono Friends and at least the first 3 episodes of Kemuri Kusa, and I generally like the studio's style. I like their weird 3D. I like their character models a whole lot. But this one, like, I was just like, yeah, that was a better fight than the fights from Kemono Friends. That's all I could really take away from this 1 minute. Anybody else have anything to say?
I didn't
Not
watch it.
much.
Yeah. Sorry. Good.
Moving on then.
Yeah,
did anybody
I kind of liked
try
it.
to watch?
I kind of enjoyed it.
I
guess
tried
it was
finding
kinda
it,
funny.
but I couldn't find it.
It was online somewhere. I don't know. It was okay.
Did
maybe we'll get
anybody
there.
watch Rebirth?
I
which was
watched
another
Rebirth.
great
Yeah.
episode.
I watched
I
that.
haven't.
I watched this before subtitles came out, so I have no fucking
I don't
idea
think there
what
are
Me
subtitles
too.
yet. I could not find any. I looked for them.
There was no
We all watched
subtitles.
it raw. We all watched it raw, and we all probably thought, well, I don't know what the fuck's going on here.
Okay,
so.
it's based on a card game, right? I figured that out, and we can see the character designs are cute. They're moving around. They're doing something. It was like 2 minutes long.
That's
The
the thing.
narrator
I
is
have
a
watched,
god. That
I
narrator.
have watched enough.
Yeah,
I've watched enough
was
anime
that
that I can-
fucking was that Robo Man from Kuromori High and Watanabe?
Oh,
Was that-
is that who it was?
I thought
yeah,
it was.
That's right.
I could be
Hold
wrong,
on, let
but
me
that
look
was the
into it.
impression I had.
I totally forgot about that, but I do remember hearing that. Be like, is that Norio Wakamoto?
Shit like that. It was good.
The
alone.
narration at the beginning reminded me a lot of like the beginning of One Piece. Just
Oh, yeah,
like the
the-
goldenrod. I'm like, but it's like a way more ridiculous.
It
version.
pretty
I
much
was like,
instead of like the golden age of piracy, it's like the golden age of card games.
of card
Rebirth, the
games.
card.
Yeah, I guess.
It's pretty cool. It's pretty cool.
It was something. It was definitely
I mean,
3
I-
minutes of my time. I
Yeah,
spent.
yeah. I have nothing.
Definitely happened. It occurred. It occurred. Donald Trump was there for a second.
He was. that was good.
There was girls talking. They're anime girls.
Don't know what they were
That's,
saying, but they were talking.
They were saying some ching chong language, bro. It's pretty cool. I liked it. It was fine.
I've got nothing else. I'm tapped.
I got
am
nothing.
I am not seeing Norio Wakamoto in the cast list,
No.
so it might not have been him.
Okay,
But
Wakamoto, that's
yeah, I mean, I've seen enough Japanese that I can sometimes watch shows without subtitles, but
Mm-hmm.
this one, I think it was like largely card game.
Yeah, they were
related
specifically
in-jokes.
discussing the card game. Yeah.
Yeah, so it was impossible to follow. So we'll move on from that. Obviously, nobody's going to watch it or have watched it.
Yep.
So next up is Magia Record, Maho Shoujo Madoka Magica Gaiden
Here we
TV.
go. Here we go. Shaft, baby.
Nate,
Shaft's on the plate.
Do you want to introduce this, Nate?
I'd be happy to. So a long time ago in a galaxy far, far away, when was that? 2013, 2012, whatever? Madoka came out.
2011.
2011,
buddy.
I was
2011.
close. Madoka Magica came out and took the magical girl genre by storm, shaking up everybody's expectations with Gen Orobuchi writing and shit, doing all kinds of crazy butchery of these cute magical girls, making it far darker than we were led to believe, and basically everybody loved it, and it was a great time for all. So
hugely
now,
influential, caused the next decade to be overrun with dark magical girl shows.
Indeed. It was really, truly a trendsetter, no doubt about it. And here we are with what appears to be a side story. I mean, to me, it's always... When
it's a gaiden.
It's a gaiden. There you go. So that's what it is. It's always frustrating to me. Like with Madoka, we got the real story. Now we're getting like a little spin-off of like what some of the characters were doing in like another city during this time. It's interesting, but it is what it is. It's not going to be as epic or as world-changing as Madoka, which was by definition it was like the Gurren Lagann of the fucking magical girl genre. It went as big as you can go with the fucking premise. But anyway, for what it is, this show is just more Madoka. It's got great animation, extremely adorable character designs, some pretty sick fights with those amazing like weird animation battles against witches that I kind of longed for since Madoka.
Those are particularly important to mention here because those when you see that stuff in Shaft shows, the crazy fucking cutouts and stuff, the team that does it's two guys I think called Gekidan Inu Kuri. Gekidan Inu Kuri is directing this show. This is their directorial debut after having done this artwork. So like,
sick.
And it really like knowing that gets me so excited because it means that the stuff I liked about this episode probably wasn't an accident. Which is that this is a fucking trip, dude. This show was like a head fuck.
It was a head fuck, dude. I was.
Let me. When I first saw that this was based on a game, my expectations plummeted down to the floor.
But I had seen, because when I was looking at the seasonal chart, I saw that it's Shaft. Yeah. It's a lot of the same team. So it's, at least it's not going to be some other people.
I was saying before that, like, I don't like to go from when you have like the most interesting story you can tell in the world, which was Madoka, and then you go to a small one. There's a lot of fear that they're just gonna waste your time or fuck around and maybe retcon some things. I don't know. But so far, with what we've seen so far, I'm feeling pretty positive that this is going to be like a nice encapsulated story of like some tragedies of some specific magical girl group. And so far, pretty great time.
Yeah, I was almost shocked, like how immediately it feels like Madoka. Like like it
gets
same.
The tone completely.
The music,
no, for sure.
The music starts.
They
and
use like the theme from Madoka or whatever right off the bat, and it was smart. It was smart to do so.
Which I mean, if you know the music of Yuki Kajiura, it's always unmistakable. I mean, it was really funny because Yuki Kajiura is not the composer for this show, so I assume that they just used that one song from the old show, right?
That was definitely the same song, so I would assume so.
It had to be, because I heard it and I was just like, I was struggling. I was like, okay, either they brought back Yuki Kajiura and this is a new song, but it just sounds exactly the same because all of her music sounds exactly the same, or this is the old song and I haven't seen the show in long enough to recognize it. But I could not figure out. It must be the latter because Takumi Ozawa is credited with the music on the show, and that's a different person.
Pretty sick fucking fights in there, man. Pretty sick fucking fights with Spear Girl, and I mean, Crossbow Girl is a little bitch. She needs to level up in a big way. Like Double Mace Girl just gets her ass handed to her, but when Spear Girl got there, then we got some good shit.
Spear Girl, what a queen, what a queen.
She is no
Jackisboy, what made you think that this was as much of a head fuck as you did?
I was a little. Last night I was a little inebriated, so I was watching the show and I was like, holy shit. Well, it's like initially when I think it's when the aspect ratio changes. Yeah. And then she's having like the dream about like the one Madoka girl, and I was like, what the fuck is going on? But like a lot of the cuts of this, like it feels like Madoka like episode 2. like a lot, like in the original show where you're like, what's going on? I don't know what's going on. We're gonna learn some secrets. But it was the way it was edited.
The overarching plot of this, like, so everyone here has probably seen Madoka. I mean, whatever. If you have, whatever, it doesn't matter.
Well,
but, like,
this show assumes that you have, for sure. Like,
yeah,
I would say, even though this show, like, it could be watched without having seen Madoka, there's no
if you
reason
don't know, like, the
to
inherent
watch it,
tragedy of a magical girl's existence, then you like, you're going to be left behind.
Yeah,
because that's
and that's the thing, is that they took something that in the original show was this big plot twist.
Yeah.
This idea that the magical girl is a tragic thing, but that is the entire framework.
Thank God they're not wasting our time by reiterating all that shit. That would have been like a killer of the inertia. Yeah.
Even having watched Madoka, I feel like the info, like, in the first episode is way too fast and they give way too much, and I was barely, like, able to follow everything.
Well, that's where it's because it's the way that the info is structured, and this fucking was blowing my mind when I started watching it, because for the first, like, I want to say almost 5 minutes, there's voiceover that's telling a totally different story from what's on screen. Did you guys notice this?
I don't remember this. I'm gonna go double check.
I don't remember.
Like, okay, like early on when the main girl is walking to school, like, what we're seeing on screen is just her going to school.
Yeah.
But like there's a dialogue from some other, it's just a dialogue playing over this scene that is not related to this scene. It's just telling us stuff about the character, or like replaying a scene from her past or something like that. But like for the first while in this episode, if you really pay attention, what's happening in the audio, what it's telling you, the story, just has nothing to do with the visuals. It's just two different
really
stories
cool.
being told at once, just to give you as much info as possible, I think. And like, it really reminded me of like a James Joyce book or something, like the stream of consciousness, where you're simultaneously in the current moment as well as in the future and past, and so it felt as though this show had this odd stream of consciousness air to it. Like, we're never quite in just reality. We're kind of like in memory. We're kind of in like a dream space almost. And it made it fucking a trip, It took a while into the episode before, like, it kind of settles down and just tells you the plot,
Yeah.
Yeah, I was thrown off by it because, especially the first Madoka, like, it delivers the information like throughout, and it's very slow, and you're able to digest it all. Here, especially when I start watching a new anime first episode, I'm not ready for all the info, and it just starts like dropping everything, and I'm like, holy fuck! All right, slow down.
I think this is a way weirder show than the original Madoka, and like it's all in the directing and the writing, and in a way that I don't think most people will even recognize this early on, because it looks so much like Madoka. Like, it looks and feels like Madoka, but like the story and the storytelling is so different. And the narrative seems relatively benign and simple so far. It's just that, like, there's this town where if magical girls go there, they can apparently quit being magical girls. They can get out of the contract. So all these magical girls are going there en masse, but the magical girls who live in that city are like, fuck you, if you come here into our territory, I will fucking kill any magical girls who come here. But the magical girls are still going anyways, because they're like lambs to the slaughter. They just want this light of the healing god of not having magical girl powers anymore. But the presentation of that plot makes it seem like there's way more going on, in a way that's like, okay, I don't think the plot is necessarily the central point of focus here, like most of what I'm digesting out of this show is not directly the plot, but like the weird visuals, the metaphors, the odd emotional kind of vibe that you get out of it, which I hope will be explored a lot more.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. And one aspect I really liked was, I forget her name, but like the second girl with the two little hair buns or whatever, like they talk about like the wishes, and her wish, which she mentions later, was to go out with the guy she currently had a crush on that since then she has broken up with. And so, I can't really fully remember if Madoka got into that in a big way. I think it did to a degree. But it's just focusing on like how flippant her wish really was at the time, and how she just feel used by this system, to QBs harvesting their, magical girls into witches to propagate the fucking cycle, whatever the fuck it was back in the day. and like dealing more with the emotional weight of making such terrible decisions. And I mean, you know, obviously we talked about, or like in the last show, it was dealt with to some degree, like how fucked up it is of the Cubies to ask like little girls to like get their childish wishes granted while putting their fucking lives on the line and dying for this shit.
There's definitely like an element of I think it's meant to feel skeevy in the same way as like if they had been predated on, you know, like it's like
I like the jaded
these
spear
girls really
girl.
are too young to know what the fuck this is.
She feels like she's like the jaded prostitute in the brothel, you know, who sees like the fresh ones coming in. She's like, another fresh batch. Huh? I've been here 20 years. I'll teach you a thing or two. Yep.
Anybody else have anything they want to say about
I do, but it's a kind of a convoluted thing. I'll try to explain it, but if I do a bad job, I'm sorry. I just feel like Madoka Magica is the original, you know, with Madoka and Homura. I don't think the story is like 100% complete because Rebellion doesn't end with like a final resolution. The whole message of the story is that these characters are having these wishes granted, and they're all either like selfish or selfless, and the misery then turning into a witch comes from those being flipped. And Madoka, at the end of the original series, represents the ultimate selflessness, right?
Indeed.
Because all the other characters, for example, Sayaka, thought she was making the selfless wish, but she realizes that what she really wanted is to be with, the violin guy. Homura, on the other hand, represents the ultimate selfishness at the end of the Rebellion movie. But it just ends, and it's implied that the happiness that Homura gets from this is going to be short-lived because the selfish wish is a bad wish.
Well, let's just quickly point out the reality that movie was never intended from the start. And, I mean, it kind of shouldn't have been made if they're not going to finish off that plot because it was not... Like, Madoka's story was complete in the first, 12 or whatever the fuck, 24 episodes it was.
Well, it wasn't really, because Homura's story is not, like, concluded in there at all.
Of course it is. Her
just
story is just the story of someone trying to save Madoka, and then that goes through twists and turns. All the shit that the movie adds is ancillary, in my opinion.
Homura's story ends with just, like, she's gonna be fighting forever. She's gonna continue being a magical girl.
Well, the world had changed, right? With
it doesn't make sense for her character to end like that.
I guess I kind of forget how the show ended. I know there was some weird shit going on with Madoka's like presence was around everybody still. Yeah.
I also
anyway,
forget.
this all leads to, I'm just not sure if this show will just follow the same pattern of the theme, which I imagine it will because it's in the same universe.
Yeah.
Or if it will try to tackle something else, which would be pretty cool.
So far, it seems like they're pretty well shackled to this whole grief seed witch QB manipulation stuff.
Yeah, but I mean, there's a lot you can do with these metaphors. So
That's true.
Maybe it'll. I just want to see it try to tell a different story.
I'm very interested in
this.
this.
Use these elements to do something real different.
It seems like it's going in that direction.
On the other hand, I just cannot see them escaping this because this is like the law of this universe. This is like the whole, premise of Magical Girl.
You could argue that if they do in fact find a way out, that it totally invalidates Madoka's sacrifice and undoes the purpose of her whole fucking existence as god of the universe. That would be pretty epic, my dudes. We'll see.
I'm also noticing in the synopsis it says that in the city Kamihama, where everybody's going, is Madoka, who is searching for a missing Homura. So
is that like the black
movie,
girl
then?
that we see, like the shadowy figure? Then
I think that might be her sister, who's like missing and is involved with like her wish.
She's looking for her sister.
Yeah, her
but
sister
Madoka's also
is
there
dying.
looking for Homura.
This is I'm confused.
Okay.
I guess we'll just find out.
I don't know.
Yeah, it's probably one of those things where it'll all make sense in the end.
But we
guys.
shouldn't forget.
You just gotta stick it out.
It's an adaptation of a
it?
game. Who wrote the game? Can we trust their writing to capitalize on this?
I think
I don't know.
It's not a game like an actual game. It's like a phone game, like an app game.
Exactly. That's terrifying.
Like
It's,
Isn't it like a
character
gotcha
app
game?
game.
Isn't it like a gotcha game?
I think so, but like it has nothing to. I think they just basically named the show after it, maybe use some of the character designs, but I don't think the plot of the show has anything to do with the game.
I mean, if there's like a director interview or like a writer interview that like says like, yeah, I mean, we took the ideas from this gacha and we're using it to expand the story of them. It's called a Gaiden though. It's not called Madoka 3 or like Madoka 2 or whatever. So I don't know. I don't know.
I'm very interested to see where it's going to go.
I mean, it's a great watch anyway, just to soak it
Definitely
in. So.
Surprised. Yeah. Definitely surprised how good it was. No,
Me
it
too.
looked really
I was
great.
shocked.
Felt like
I'm
Madoka.
interested.
I'm pretty interested to watch more.
Same.
All right. I'm going to introduce this next one because I'm excited about ID Invaded. This is a new psychological thriller detective show from director Aoki and writer fucking Maijo Otaro, who is one of the most insane, off-the-rails light novel authors that there is. Everything he's written is possibly the craziest thing I've ever read in my life. So I'm extremely excited that he has started writing anime. He wrote The Dragon Dentist a couple years ago, I guess. I still haven't seen that, though.
That thing.
But he's writing this now, and just everything about this story instantly clicked with me. This is one of those things where I was like, this it feels like it was made with me in mind, because it's about... It starts off, well, I kind of don't even want to spoil it. Like, I don't want to describe too much of the plot. I would encourage you to watch this episode just not knowing, only because the way the episode begins, you're kind of you're in with the main character having no idea what the fuck's going on.
Yeah.
And the way that information is unraveled is very interesting across the episode, because you're constantly, like, broadening your perspective on exactly what's going on, pretty much right to the end. And it does a amazing job of holding off on any exposition that doesn't need to be known at this time to understand this moment, and then explaining that shit later, now that you're curious about it, because you already had an enjoyable time with this thriller episode. So, like, the structure in that sense is, like, one of the best things about this.
Digi, while I do agree with that assessment, it doesn't, like, it is structured in, like, a mystery sense of slowly unraveling what you need to know as it goes on. Did anybody else find it absolutely obnoxious, the frequent cuts to, like, the crew as they, like, comment at great length about every little fucking action that the main character is doing?
That was the best fucking part.
That's when I dropped it.
That's when he dropped it, Digi. That's when he dropped it. No, it sucked.
That's when I dropped
it. Was shit.
I was
hated it.
falling asleep during
Okay,
this.
You guys did wait. I fucking loved this show.
To be clear, I did
believe
not
you guys
hate
didn't
the
like
show.
it.
I just didn't like those cuts. That's what I
I was not a fan, but I like the design of the main guy, but I was not really much of a fan.
He's a
of
fucking
most of
fairy tale Natsu looking motherfucker, but
it. He looks better than Natsu. He looks a little bit better.
true. That's
you know?
true.
How were you not immediately sucked in by the arm thing?
I was way into that.
The Rayman thing, I was like, that's funny. That's Rayman.
This is not
Rayman.
Rayman. This
Yeah,
is
funny.
full. This is max potential awakened devil fruit Buggy the Clown. That's what's happening here.
Oh my! It is Buggy,
and it was
Fuck
based as fuck, and I absolutely loved it.
I might need to watch it again just to watch Buggy. Yeah.
I loved those effects, and I noticed like the you can see like characters. Okay, so characters like split apart at least in one of these worlds, and you'll see animations of when they turn. All the pieces don't quite turn in sync. They're a little bit like desynced sometimes, or they like follow a pattern. All those details I loved and I thought were fantastic. Yeah. But like when it gets to the like, oh guys, we're doing like a I got some Psychopaths vibes. Like we have like a detector, we can like detect will to kill, and like we can use it to track down serial killers, bro, and we can literally use their like we find the particles of their willingness to commit crimes or whatever, and we can invade their minds with our mind machine.
That's my main problem.
Come on.
Yeah, pretty much.
You
it's
have
like
to accept this baseline in order to get this show, though.
I do accept it. I do accept it, and I don't even dislike it. But
I mean, look, I will say, I think that the plot, the idea of this show, is retarded, because what the idea is
any
that,
idea can be good depending on how it's
so the idea of this show is that it's basically about trying to capture serial killers, and apparently serial killers, they have some kind of unique attribute that nobody else has about the way their brain is. I don't know if this is true or not, incidentally. I have not done the neuroscience research, but they have built a lot of technology out of that unique element of the serial killer brain.
I can believe that. That's fine. That's the premise.
detect the brain through like a literal like scouter. They can like find you by measuring your intent to kill. There's also, but for whatever reason, only people with intent to kill, because of the fact that they have this thing in their brain, which I guess is not an innate property of the brain, but more something that is released by your brain.
It
like,
seems to
your
be some
brain
sort
is
of like
releasing
I
mythical
think you just
particle.
like shows with brains.
They literally say at one
true.
point that like these particles can be carried on the wind. What the fuck does that? I don't know.
It's
So
I didn't even get to that part.
Okay.
That's awesome.
There's like
Look,
there's
I
one
don't
of
know.
these
This
obnoxious.
might be real. For
It's
as far
not
as
real,
fucking I
did you?
know.
Come on.
There's one of these
He's a
murder mystery
neuroscientist,
shows.
Nate. All right.
all right.
There's one of these murder mystery shows like almost every season or the second season. And it just seems to me like everyone is trying to invent more ridiculous like exposition and ways that the world works, and it's just like exactly what you were talking about, Nate. Like, oh, it's this can track the brain and the shut up. This doesn't make sense.
it's not about making sense though. It's just that this conceit has to exist for this show to happen.
That's fine. There's no problem with that.
It's just if you have intent to kill, your brain releases a chemical or something that they can trace. And also, if that chemical is in your brain, then they have a machine that will allow a man to, I guess,
Go
like
in your
virtual reality into your id.
Yep.
So,
Yep.
So that's id invaded. That's the show.
That's what happens.
That's the idea.
Yep.
I'm just gonna tell you why I didn't find that enjoyable. What you were talking about, I get it, but I would think for a mystery, a big like appeal of it is the audience engagement of like you following the thing as the detective is following it, fucking taking clues and trying to solve them with it, with the detective or like whatever. You know, you're in there. Here, there's a bunch of like shit that they just make up, a bunch of like obnoxious rules that don't make sense. Things get solved way too quick. And I just didn't find it.
Yeah, I must say there were many times I was way ahead of our genius detective in like the deductions he was trying to make, which was a little strained credibility. I mean, there are other things like the fact that like where the guy was hiding in the mind. I mean, that was kind of cool. That was an interesting deduction.
That was
things like
sick,
that I
dude.
enjoyed. Yeah, that was good. That was good.
I mean, I was. So, first of all, the way this episode starts is just the main character.
The start is amazing.
floating
I loved
on a
the start of
platform
this.
in a void.
Yeah, it was great.
Surrounded by weird shit. He doesn't know who he is, and like just the idea that like once we do understand what's going on, like it is the coolest idea for a detective imaginable. Like he literally just shows up in somebody's mind with no idea who he is or where he is. Just like, I don't know why I'm here. What the fuck's going on? But then he will see the corpse of this girl who, for some reason, recurs in every serial killer's mind. Anybody with intent to kill has an image of this girl in their mind. And when he sees her, because of the fact that she reminds him, as we later learn, of his dead daughter. Which I figured was going to be the case pretty quickly. But, like, something to that effect, at least. When he sees her, it like makes him realize that he's supposed to be solving her murder, and solving her murder within this person's mind is how we will ultimately triangulate where that person is IRL. So that's basically what it is. It's a super weird idea, but just the thought of what's possible with main character wakes up in person's mind with no idea who they are or why they're there. You can do anything with that.
The possibilities that opens are indeed good. And I love a lot of the like tangible details, like the fact that they choose to represent like the minds of killers with a consistently like Kaoru, the same girl murder victim that has a murder to be solved. Like, that is a very fascinating idea. And, like, the larger plot going on here of pursuit of this, like, mysterious character that they didn't even know if they was real, who seems to manifest in all these serial killers, John Walker. But then,
and now we've confirmed that he is
a real guy, and now this
is
and he seems to be creating these serial killers, which is interesting.
And he's awesome because it's like this weird old dude who's like this Santa Claus looking motherfucker who I guess somehow influences So I guess he's
Yeah.
like our Makishima in Psycho-Pass comparison.
Yeah.
I mean, this show is, as I put it on Twitter, Psychonauts by way of Psycho-Pass. It's cool, fucking imaginative inner worlds that have a logic.
But you know what Psycho-Pass had? Psycho-Pass broke up things with like comedy and lightheartedness. This breaks up the
No, it did not.
Psychonauts.
Sorry, Psychonauts. I'm talking about Psychonauts. That's what I meant to say. Whereas this show breaks things up with extended dialogue sequences from characters we don't know or care about that are restating facts we already learned and are making deductions that we as the audience could not follow because they're just saying like, oh, he did X thing in this brain. That revealed Y totally unrelated piece of information that we now know and could use to track this thing down. Like the connections here. There's a lot of surface level shit going on in here. They're just throwing around words like id and photon particles, and I mean a lot of it's a bunch of techno jargon. Can you do cool stuff with it?
That
yes.
stuff was. I love retarded techno jargon. Like I think that is inherently fun and hilarious. Like
so
to me, the appeal. Like this was very similar to Be the Beginning in this way, where they have all these computers that could do just ridiculous shit. So like second that they like, there's a scene where in very rapid succession they analyze like a picture that was in the mind, and they're like, okay, well, like all we can see is like a face and the wall behind him. However, like that wall is this distance, and it must be a basement for these reasons, and therefore
that's
like
fine.
Let's
that's
run through the computer of every basement in the city, and like it can instantly do all that because the technology is so good. It's just like this rapid fire of like all these little and analyzing this, and then we fucking ran that through this computer, and you see all these 3D graphs.
Listen. The problem with this is nothing to do with the premise or the machinery they have. It's purely how they put their dialogue in as exposition and how they move the story along. And I compare it to something like
never
bored
watching this show.
Okay,
I was
that's
like
fine.
On the edge of my seat.
I was utterly confused and thought this was weird and not making a lot of sense. And I think of something like Ghost in the Shell. It's like Ghost in the Shell.
Have you considered the possibility that you might need to have a higher IQ to appreciate?
I'll run that through the machine and see if that does it. But when
for me felt pretty thematic.
When I compare this to something like Ghost in the Shell for like Standalone Complex or whatever, it's like the premise of that world is this richly realized, like totally understandable usage of like cybernetic technology that could exist and does theoretically make sense. Even if it could never exist, we understand the rules behind it, and we can like play along. I don't understand these rules, and I can't play along in this show.
It's rooted in the like concepts that we know. So even though it's like different and we don't have that technology, the conceptual understanding of the technology is there.
Exactly. There's got to be a term for this in writing, but I can't think of what it is right now.
I mean, I think I love shows that are like that, but that is a very limiting view of like what could be done with a sci-fi.
I'm just saying,
like,
don't make your plot nonsensical and bullshit, and that's what the show is doing.
There's nothing nonsensical about the show. It all made sense. It all flowed from each other. Like by the end, they wrap up every loose end. I had no.
It's not about the
left.
loose ends. It's about the way they give information out. And the way they lead us from one point to the next as the story goes along.
I don't understand what was... I did not feel whatever you're describing as this
Jack,
problem.
what did you think? What do you think about it?
I know. I think I mostly agree with you.
Based.
I wasn't totally grabbed by the premise, but like, it was definitely the exposition that made me really bored throughout it. I don't know. I like as I think Nate was comparing it to Psychonauts and Psycho-Pass.
But like
both things that I like, but like I don't know.
I'm curious how you guys felt about this moment, because there's a moment early on where we start off inside of the head. This guy's learning about his fucking arm. It's sick. It's like a video game.
It is.
First of all, they need to make a video game based on this show. They need to. It would be so much fun.
That would be more fun.
It exists. It's called Control.
I wish this show was more about the things he can do with his wacky, stretchy arm. That would be better.
Or just whatever he can do in any world.
Yeah, that's true.
If this was like Psychonauts, it would be, new world, new abilities
power or
every
something.
time.
Yeah.
Pretty much the same, but like, doing it with like a mystery detective thriller.
I don't know why, but while I was watching it, I definitely was thinking of you, Digi. I think this is like very much your type of show. When I was watching it, I got that feeling. And I would personally love for you to make any like video analysis on this.
I mean, I'd have to know. Obviously, there's not that, like you said, there's not that much theming in this episode yet. I don't know what the deeper themes of the show are going to be yet. Like, because I'm sure they'll be there.
It's all
And,
going
like,
to be about
It
the
just
main
seems
character.
that, like you
who's-
have
yeah.
a greater perspective on it for some reason.
okay.
That's how I feel.
Like an
There's a
appreciation
reason.
for
There's
it,
a good
yeah.
reason for that, and it has to do with the staff, as I mentioned earlier, because the writer Maija Otaro, like I said, everything he's written is fucking absolutely insane. And like, it's funny because there's a heavy amount of reference in this episode, Under the Surface, of the drilling the holes in the brain.
Right,
Because Maija Otaro has a story called Drill Hole in My Brain, which is about the story is the main character gets a drill goes into his brain, and then we go into his psyche, and it's just a fucking total insane clusterfuck. Like,
Okay.
it's just a weird stream of consciousness inside this guy's psyche as he's dying, you know, and like all of his emotions and understandings of the world are swirling together, and he's like living inside of a cliche anime, but then he becomes a vagina, and like all this crazy shit happens. So like, it's like hypersexual. All his stories his stories are hypersexual, full of constant swearing. So it's basically, you know, perfect for me. Like, he writes in the way that I think. So but this show is way more orderly. Like, his other stuff is all like out of control, stream of consciousness madness. So like, seeing that he even could write a show that was like tight and where it had more of that like mystery thriller feel to it was like, man, I'm really excited to see like how this is going to get weird. You know, like, clearly we've had to set up a lot of shit in this episode, but we don't have to set all that shit up anymore. So there's plenty of space, and I'm going to assume that they're going to do 2-episode arcs for each mystery, since that's what we did here. So I'm thinking probably, you know, across 2 episodes, you can get pretty deep into the psyche, you know, and I'm curious to know what kind of adventures we'll go on. It was also interesting learning about the characters and stuff, but I also have faith in the director, Aoki, who directed Fate Zero and Ray Zero and Aldenoa Zero. He really likes his zeros, but he also did the first, and he did the first Kara no Kyokai film, which is one of my favorites. But generally his shows do tend to have lots of giant exposition dumps and him trying to find a way to make it visually interesting. Sometimes he succeeds, sometimes he does not. Recreators was nothing but expo dumps all the fucking time. It got old. But ID Invaded, like, there's this one moment where you're down in the mind with the guy, and then the camera literally pulls out, and we reveal that he's inside of like this reality marble, basically. And then we pull out to like this sci-fi, police room, basically, this home base. And there's all these people commenting on what's going on inside the thought bubble. And then the camera pulls back again up even higher into the rafters of the same building. And we're like, we meet the little girl and these other characters. And so it gave me this feeling of like, we went from literally having no fucking idea what's going on to now understanding that there's like 3 layers of what's happening in this plot. And then from that point, each of those layers is fleshed out and they intertwine and they all come together in the end, you know? So like that feeling of that broadening of scope of going from like literally I have no fucking idea what is happening to like, okay, I guess now we're in like a sci-fi world and he's in a machine and these are like cops or something. Okay, now we know that they're going out, like they're trying to hunt the guy in the real world and this is all connected. And like, so it just keeps getting more complex. But I never had trouble following it personally. I was always just like trying to keep track of, okay, so we've got the girl's corpse. What does that mean? What is this going to mean? Thing. And then at the end, like the plot wraps up, and then there's probably a good like 6 or 7 minutes at the end of the episode of just like getting all the exposition that we weren't entirely clear about out of the way, because there's some things that you kind of assume, but you're not sure. So it might be, yes, they are repeating something you already know to some degree, but they're stating it in a different way with new information. Like it's not just, I'm literally describing what you did. It's like it's worked into a conversation that gives us a broader sense of what was going on. So, we're always learning something new. We always get a little bit like for instance, at the very end of the episode, we learned that the main guy's daughter had died. I assumed that the corpse, because he recognized it, as soon as he saw it, that it was related to him in some way. And then eventually we learn that it just appears in every killer's mind. But all the time he seemed to have this weirdly more personal connection. Like he cared more. And then we find out he had a daughter, and it's like, okay, well, she probably got murdered, and he sees that in her. Maybe he murdered her because he can only access the system because he is himself a killer. So our main character clearly has something fucked up with him. And like it's also interesting that he doesn't seem to be like the same person as the person he is in the memories. Like in the real world, he's just this fucking asshole. But like when he goes into the mind, he can be this super detective, and like he almost seems to look up to that version of himself that he cannot be without the inability to remember who he is.
I feel like it's more like he's looking back to the man he used to be, but similar.
I think he's lost. I think it's kind of a metaphor for being lost in the sauce. Like he doesn't want to leave. He wants to keep going back in, and the guy who leads the program literally doesn't let him. He's like, no, you've overworked yourself. It's not good for your mental health. You're not going back.
I don't think he likes being in his own mind very much. I think he not too big a fan of it. Yeah,
he'd rather be in someone else's mind, not thinking about himself. So that's it's an interesting character, and it's also one that will drive the story very well because why is he continuing to do this? Like, what kind of fucking madman would do this? And there you go. So I don't know. I'm excited. I don't know if it will ultimately be deep, if the stories will always be interesting, if the animation quality will live up to the first episode. But I have high hopes. I want my next Psycho-Pass,
Sure, understandable. I think most people do. I'm very glad that I think most of the main expositing is done, but I think we're set up for a lot of like, okay, like I was pretty much able to follow everything without any difficulty because it felt very obvious to me. And the things that I couldn't figure out were because they were intentionally left as part of, like, oh my god, it's so deep. Like, it's when he puts together the world, it's the holes that matter more than anything else. Oh, the guy drills holes in himself. It's, oh my god, it's like so connected. It all makes sense now.
I hate that.
Sure. When I'm the author writing the story, I'm going back and I'm like using details like, okay, how do I depict this hint? Okay, this guy drills holes. Okay, I'll make it about like the holes and things. So look, that's fine. It's not a problem. I'm just not overly impressed by it knowing the end. And I suspect and fear a lot of writing in this vein coming up. That's like, we are just a lot of characters restating psychological phenomenon that just isn't that interesting, is very surface level, and is all very obvious when you're looking back on it in retrospect. And I mean, this is I guess I have the negative view, whereas you have the more positive one. Who knows which one it'll ultimately be?
It could go that way, and I'll say that like I don't know if this is Maijo Otaro's attempt to be more commercial and less weird, Nothing he's written up to this point that I've seen is anywhere remotely near as accessible as this. Like, not even in the same realm. So the fact that it's so toned down makes me think, like, maybe he's trying to, maybe the reason that Drill Hole in My Brain guy is in episode 1 is just to be like, haha, I'm the guy who writes the drill hole in the brains, but let's get serious now. I don't know. Well, or maybe it'll go fucking totally nuts. That's what I'm hoping.
We'll have to see. And for the record, I've stated most of my criticisms. I liked a lot of things. Like, I thought that like little girl character was kind of, I don't know why she's like a field agent, but putting that aside,
eyebrows, I was very confused about how old is she supposed to be?
I do not know. But now that we've put that aside, like the fact that she is there and is like a bad enough dude to like be willing to drill her own fucking brain because she knows that's what the mission requires in order to like nail the bad guy. I was very impressed by her
by exhibiting the intent to kill on herself.
To kill herself.
She opened herself up.
Such a big brain. That was good. I thought that was clever. I enjoyed it. Yeah. And I really liked when they go into like he goes into that world and there is Kaoru who has committed suicide. I was like, hey, that's that's a cute twist of the dead girl thing going on. Did I interrupt somebody? Manmode, were you saying something?
Yeah.
Whoops.
You cut me off. I was trying to do my thing.
Have at it.
ID invaded Manmode. Tune in after I take a piss.
Okay, sounds good.
I have a question.
Do you guys all want to take a piss break? Because I also have to piss.
Sure. Well, Jack's here. I think Jack's saying something, but after that.
Does the guy keep his low Rayman arm the entire time, or is that only in that specific brain?
It seems contingent on that brain.
Because he
Okay.
didn't have it in the other brain, right? When
Correct.
went
He
to
did
the,
not. He did not.
right.
Okay.
If this was a video game, he would probably keep these powers as he goes between worlds. But alas, it is a
and
lowly
upgrade
anime.
'em, yeah.
Sick.
Yeah.
All right, let's take a piss
All right,
break
pause.
and
I will-
reconvene. All right, well, Jackisboy, go ahead and introduce the next show to
Well,
us.
as we were overflowing our piss out of our genitalia,
Orifice.
I'm not gonna. I don't know what genitalia you boys have, but we're gonna be talking about
Yeah.
Overflow. It was great. I loved it. It was amazing.
I think
it was It was good.
Anime of the season.
Anime of the season. I loved it. I didn't know it was a hentai.
It had
It was great.
unique features.
It was-
Yeah, there you go.
Sisters fucking their brother. It was pretty epic.
It's stated clearly at the beginning that they are not, ladies and gentlemen, biologically
they
related.
not?
You have a full
The
pass.
step.
It says right at the beginning. There's
I
like a
can't read,
disclaimer
dude.
at the beginning.
I'm
It
illiterate.
says,
I'm sorry. I got to see titties and
Oh, it was
dick.
great. Why is this on the list? This. I mean, they just have full on. Granted, this is a pretty good sex
okay,
scene. It was well
this-
animated.
I'll
Why is this
explain
here?
to you guys.
Okay.
This has been happening for, I want to say almost like 5 years now. But there's been this trend. Every season, a show will come out, or a couple, that are
Yeah.
just pornography in like 7-minute episodes. But they actually air censored versions of it on TV with almost no content. Like, literally, it will just cut out the video and be, like, just audio.
What?
For, like, minutes on end. And then they release the uncensored version online.
Wow.
But I don't know if the censored version just solely exists to advertise the uncensored version or what. But it's totally pointless to watch the censored versions of these shows. But every season, there's a fucking just straight... I mean, at first, they weren't as hardcore as they've become, but now they're all just porn. Like, every season there's just a fucking porn show that's just on the TV list.
It's
and
so
it comes
weird.
out in like 5-minute
Imagine
chunks every
being
week.
Japanese,
It's very
going
bizarre.
home to watch some TV, and you tune in, and you just hear the audio of this. It's like,
Yeah.
this-
So I mean, this one, as far as hentai goes, character designs are pretty good. Girls are pretty
Yeah.
hot. It's very
You're
to
into
the
that.
point. There's nothing weird about it.
It's vanilla,
honestly one of
just
the,
the way it
most straightforward of
should
these
be.
shows. Yeah. Usually they have some,
Indeed.
well, and the funny thing about it is most of these shows are usually aimed at women. It's usually like it's usually porn, but it's usually a girl getting fucked by like a firefighter or a monk or some like special kind of guy. And that's usually more the reason to have these as a show is that there's some kind of development in the plot over it usually.
They just have
but
some
I mean,
generic Oni-chan dialogue. That's all. That's all we get
this
here.
is basically indistinguishable from any other hentai.
I wish it was
There's-
longer, dude. That would have been better. It would have been a
Alright,
10
yeah,
out of 10 for
that,
sure.
That leads into my
I want
complaint,
more.
basically.
It was so short,
I
dude. I
think
couldn't.
Okay, so I don't
I
want
call
to.
these shows.
I don't want to be blue balled
quick
every
nut
week,
shows.
so I'm not gonna watch.
Yeah,
it weekly,
man,
But
it's-
I
you
do,
gotta wait till all
please,
of it, binge
someone
it.
on Twitter, please
You gotta
remind me
double
when
your
it's
pace,
over.
bro.
Because that fucking cliffhanger in the end, I was so invested, and then the girl walks in, and this just fucking ends.
What's gonna happen?
It was so sad, dude.
What's gonna happen? I don't know. I don't know.
I do find it. I have found that some of these shows, if you really need to get the quickest nut possible, like I don't know.
Time is of the essence.
I don't know.
You
I don't know if
got
this
places
show
to
can
be.
do it though.
Sometimes I want to chill. Sometimes I want to. I don't know if I haven't tested this show yet, so I don't know if I could nut as fast as
It's
possible.
like-
to the show. There was one of these, the one where the girl falls through.
Oh,
the
that
ceiling
I
onto the
remember
guy's
that
cock.
one. Yeah, I accidentally watched that and thought it didn't know it was a hentai either.
Turn down for what?
Oh, I have to make.
Oh
that
my god, I'm surprised that anyone's
great
done that
idea.
yet. That's amazing.
Yeah.
Dude, yeah, I would love that.
Boy,
I would
what
love
AMV,
that.
bro.
Anybody have any more thoughts on Overflow?
Yeah, no.
The animation was pretty good. I was surprised.
Yeah.
Honestly,
Yeah.
I'm a bit
It's
of a
not
It
connoisseur.
wasn't shit.
This was in the upper echelons. I've seen a lot of
Ooh.
shit anime. This was not, or shit hentai. This was pretty good. This was good.
agree.
I liked it. I'd watch a season of this while jerking my PP, and that's it. That's all there is to it.
So the next show on our list is Pet
Yo.
from Geno Studio. Does anybody want to talk about introduce this?
Not
I don't know
me.
Who watched
I
I'll
don't know
take
how
it
to.
because Gino is getting confirmed for Smash any day now.
Oh,
so, right.
Go
makes
ahead.
I told them to reveal it.
So Pet is what appears to be a psychological like a mind control psychic kind of show that seems to be dabbling a little bit in like I was saying, psychological trauma of the characters. It starts off with a flashback to like what appears to be our main character when he was a young boy, and he's like a catatonic, has some sort of mental, disability that keeps him. He just watches anime all day. He's got, it looks like high level autism or whatever. He can't do anything other than just watch this one anime over and over and drool at the TV. And it's caused tons of tension in like his parents' life. They're breaking up. He's cheating on her. She's going to kill herself, blah, blah, blah. When all of a sudden one day, while like at the doctor's, a guy happens to walk by who appears to be like a psychic or something. And he sees the kid and he's like, oh, it's just like me when I was a kid. He dives into the kid's brain. They do a little bromance thing. He helps him psychologically stabilize. And I think we can assume, because it appears we see him grown up, that he has solved this. And now we're in a world where it looks like him and people like him are using this advanced, refined form of autism,
It's
aka
epic.
psychic control, I mean, the plot of the episode is to like control, like there's a gang that seems to be, and there's like crime going on, and he just is like an enforcer that's like wiping people's memories strategically and making people do certain things.
They
so
give people
that's
fucking
all well and
autism,
good.
bro. It's fucking epic, and they solve it. It's the
It's
transferring
good.
of
It's good.
autism, and I was having a fun time. It was a big mind fuck a little bit. I was, when they're messing with the black guy's mind a lot, but
Yeah. I think he was, whatever. It might have been Okinawan
Okay,
or whatever.
sorry.
Obviously, he had the
Sorry.
He had a Jamaican flag hanging in there.
he's
So,
black.
maybe
then,
not.
mate, He's a
Okay,
he's a
I guess so.
Jamaican dude.
There was-
yeah.
The beginning of this anime was okay. It was like the most depressing start because it was like real shit about like a mother and her husband like falling apart, dealing with like a severely autistic child, and like the burden that must be. And it's like more about like her and her husband as he just sits there and like he just starts freaking out for no reason and starts bashing his head against a fucking desk. And it was like, oh my god, it's like every nightmare I've ever had. It got way too real. My mom was a special education teacher, and oh god, these things fill my nightmares about shit like this. It's just so horrible and terrifying. And then we just cut to like this like crime plot that's basically totally unrelated.
Psychic
It's
autist
epic.
new
It's
types.
Yeah, yep.
This show, it's very much about the psychic autist new types, which
Sure is.
There's I don't know. People think that this is like me, that like I won't shut up about autism. No, anime won't shut up about autism. Like, I don't know, for anybody who's never seen Gundam, in Zeta Gundam, at the end of the show, the main character literally is like mind attacked by another psychic and is made autistic. Like
shit.
that happens. The psychic power of the new type is born of it is a metaphor for the new way of communicating of the new generation, which is the autistic generation. So
Sure.
in this show, they have very literally made it like if you are like low functioning, beating your head on a desk, retarded, I guess. I don't know if that's specifically autism or like you can be so autistic. That
Okay, I just wanted to say that I found it rather uncomfortable watching, and I was dealing with like what appeared to be a show about like real mental disability in a family, and like then anime strolls
solved
along and is
it.
like, we've got the cure for that. He was actually psychic all along.
Solved it.
Mom and Dad, your marriage is saved. We've got you covered. And like that's rather an
it was
indelicate way to handle it.
I loved it.
But like, okay,
That
like
is funny.
I guess if we just accept that he had autism, and in this world there is a cure for autism, which is develop your psychic powers, then okay, fine. Then I guess I can, just it makes sense based on the premise. And I mean, and with that. Okay, well, okay, now that we've established, like, the premise, let's talk about the actual episode beyond that, which is actually about, like, kind of totally unrelated characters up till the end involved in this, like, crime scheme.
I get the feeling it's hard to know exactly what the nature of the show is going to be, but the first episode makes it feel like this is an episodic crime drama. Like that the main characters are these sort of cleaners, or what do they call them? He called them like a
Shit, I can't remember.
crushers.
Yeah.
Crushers,
The Men in
Crushers,
Black.
that was it.
So
yeah.
Kind of
our
thing.
main characters are crushers, and they fuck with people's mind and like erase their memories so that they'll forget shit that like gangs don't want them to know, basically.
Right.
So you've got this weird trippy plot up to revealing those people. but now that we know their powers, that gimmick's done. So, like, are we just going to be following them as the main characters, or will it be more, like, about the characters who they're fucking with each episode, like Hell Girl or something?
I'm
not
hoping
sure.
it's that. That's interesting. I thought that...
But I don't know. But this show is directed by Takahiro Omori, who directed Bakano and Durarara.
Oh, really? Okay.
So you could see a little bit of the, like, in the way that this episode is structured, I could definitely see a little bit of that, you know, the sort of jumping around in the timeline or between character perspectives.
Yep.
The writer has also written a bunch of, like, really trippy and psychological kind of stuff. He wrote the Boogie Pop Phantom anime. Fuck, I lost the one I was looking at, but he's worked with this director a bunch. So, like, I think this is, you know, it's a strong team, competent people. So whatever route this show is taking, I thought the first episode was well done, and I don't think it's going to, like, drop in quality. I just don't know where it's going to go. Like, the first episode, like you said, it's about characters who ultimately are not going to be relevant because it was like a one-off character who was getting
like
fucked
this
with.
has the surprise reveal that, like, our characters seem to be the one, so we'll probably learn more about them
more of
later.
an episode that is, like, kind of keeping its premise a little bit under wraps because that's kind of the twist of the first episode, but
which
it,
is fine.
it leaves
Which is
you,
fine.
Yeah, it's more of like a taste, but I don't know. It feels like an episode 0 in that way. You know?
Yeah, that's true. That's true. So I guess just some of my thoughts.
Opening theme by TK from Ling Toshite Segure, who Ling Tosmai Segure, as I call them. They did of course, the Psychopaths OP, and TK is better known for the Tokyo Ghoul.
Oh
OP.
yeah, the OP is really good. I like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like. This was probably my favorite of his solo songs that I've heard so
Probably
far.
my favorite part of the show.
But yeah, I can't, like, I remember this show being enjoyable and trippy, but it didn't leave much of an impact on me just because, again, it's a one-off incidental story that doesn't imply what the show's going to be about.
I just like the idea of, like, having a superpower where you can give people fucking autism. I just think that's fucking amazing and epic. I think it's hilarious, so I'm going to watch more. Just on that premise alone.
Similar with ID. I just found a lot of the concepts really strange, and I don't think they were really established in the first episode, which it's not necessarily a bad thing. I just if I can't get a decent grasp on the logic of the world, I'll really quickly check out.
I guess I'd say this: if like episode 2 was there, I would be curious to click on it, like, to answer these questions. Okay, like, how are they going to handle it from here? Because, like, episode 0.
So either that, or
so, like,
at least they should establish, like, a strong theme going on in the first episode. But I don't think the show even did that. So there was just nothing for me to grab on. So I would be interested in watching the second episode.
It was pretty vague.
That intro.
Our main character has like literally no personality developed yet because he was so hidden, like, most of the time. So, you know,
and like you said, that opening segment is kind of interesting and emotional in a way.
Yeah,
like it made me think that the show would be really more focused on that, like,
which it may be in the future. I don't know.
Maybe so. Yeah. But like, just getting the feeling that it was more of like a crime thriller. I don't know. Maybe it's just because of the fact that these guys are like contractors working for the mafia in this episode. Maybe they'll take contracts from other people. I don't know. Maybe they'll get government work or something.
You can take it in a bunch of different directions.
Is it always going to be like crushers for the Yakuza?
Yeah.
It's so hard to know because they introed it this way. But I guess it was a pretty decent episode, right? I think we're all saying that we would watch episode 2 to find out.
No.
Just don't
I don't know enough to know if I'll dislike the show. So, like, for that reason, I would watch episode 2 at least a little bit. But that's not really a strong endorsement.
I want them to
like,
establish
characters,
at least to the very least, in the next episode.
Honestly,
I was drawn in.
Aside from the very beginning, the whole, like, the start before it goes into this crime thing. I thought that looked pretty good, but overall, I don't think the show looks very good either. And all the character designs I did not like. So I don't think I would be interested in watching it just because I don't find it aesthetically pleasing.
Fair enough.
True.
I don't really find it that aesthetically pleasing either, but I mean,
it was hit or miss for me.
But let's go ahead and move on. And Manmode, you can do us the honor of introducing what I think is just an unbelievable
Undisputable
show. Eizouken Teo Dasuna, or Keep Your Hands Off the
Eizouken is fucking awesome. All right, it's about this boy who one day discovers Astro Boy, pretty much, and he falls in love with the world of animation. And he has this perspective of like, oh, I love drawing, but there's nothing I can really do about it. It's really hard to get into the industry and start animation. But then he meets this fantastic girl who is so fucking cheerful and great. She's super rich. Her family doesn't want her to do animation, but she's super into it. And they have the third friend who is basically a based capitalist and definitely the best girl of the show, who is like, all right, you
true.
boys, a boy and girl,
Or girl and girl, or boy and it's
yeah,
unclear.
okay, whatever. I thought it was a boy and a girl, but
I mean, she wears a skirt, right? Isn't this kind of a giveaway?
They all wear skirts.
Yeah, but there are boys in the school who wear the
okay,
uniform.
if she's a girl,
who are
she's a
wearing
girl.
Pants.
I don't know.
So
it doesn't
I thought
matter.
it was a girl.
Okay.
Apparently, Econ was saying something on Twitter about USA having said the show was gender neutral.
I saw that,
really?
and if USA said that, I think he's fucking retarded because, like, I mean, they're wearing skirts at a school where you boys wear pants and girls wear skirts.
That's not true, because I'm looking at the pictures and it looks like one of the girls is wearing pants. The rich girl is wearing, or is that just like a shorter
Bro,
skirt?
watch the episode
I don't-
again.
I
I'm
don't-
telling you.
It's really funny that the main character was wearing a skirt and you still thought of it as boy.
I don't know. Maybe I was.
They are definitely gender ambiguous. That's definitely
But the point is, so this third girl, the capitalist one, she's like, all right, you two are going to make anime, and you're going to do it because you're young and you have literally nothing to lose, and I'm going to profit off of it.
She's the best.
And
She's the best.
Eizouken is
She is.
just
She
so
is.
fucking great and optimistic. It's fantastic. What do you guys think?
It's spiral as fuck,
Oh my
dude.
God.
It's spiral as fuck. I loved it.
That's definitely true.
I might have
definitely
cried a few times. It was one of the best opening episodes of anime I think I've ever fucking seen. So this is the new show from Masaaki Yuasa and Studio Science Saru. After having just absolutely killed the 2010s, I just got done making all my 2010s lists, and just Yuasa.
He's so fucking
Tatami
prolific
Galaxy,
too.
Night is Short, Walk On Girl, fucking
he sure is.
Devilman
He's crazy,
Crybaby, Ping Pong, all these amazing shows, many of which have amazing first episodes, and this was still the best first episode, I think, of all of them. And it's just the sheer love for animation. And
Indeed.
this is a show that it's almost cheating. Anybody who loves animation,
Oh,
you're gonna have
I
to
mean,
love
if
this
you're
show.
a creator of any kind, if you're an artist, I think you can
Yeah.
relate.
Yeah,
to this.
you will resonate
I
with
did,
this, no doubt.
certainly as just a guy who makes anime videos.
Oh my, yeah. I fell in love with it so quickly.
Yep.
I mean, the fact that so integral to this show is the existence of Future Boy Conan, which I don't know if any of you guys have seen any of it. I've seen the first 4 episodes. It was Miyazaki's debut as a
Right,
director.
right.
His 39 episode TV show, I think. And in this episode, there are scenes from the show, but they had to completely
Yeah, I saw
redraw
that.
them. They were able to get the rights to use the clips, but not the actual drawings from the show. So they redrew these clips, which it looks awesome because it doesn't look exactly the same as the original. They did
I
like
saw
a
it
different
was
style.
renamed as well. They gave it like a non-copyright version. I forget what it was, but it was slightly different. But the intention was clear.
But it's so beautiful to see that, like, not only do they reanimate this old show that they clearly love, but the characters are talking about how amazing the animation is and how, like, just all these different unique elements, and then the show itself that we're watching encapsulates them perfectly, and it's just like
It's almost like it's flexing.
can I
It's
say?
like the guy is talking about, all this cool shit that animators do, and the cool shit is being done on the screen.
Bro, that's
That was
what
great.
Yuasa does. He just flexes the entire. I was watching Ride Your Wave the other day, his new film, and he just flexes his entire directing style.
Yeah.
He's a king. He's a king of animation.
But with this one, thematically, it's very much like the message is in the medium kind of deal.
yeah. I
Well,
mean,
you
there's a
know what's
great-
interesting about it? I didn't know this, and I mean, I just went and looked it up. But so it's based on a manga, and it's being adapted by Yuasa. So you've got to imagine that during the process. So this is a manga
about how amazing anime is. Obviously, that whoever, I didn't look it up, like who wrote it or whatever. Obviously, like if you could make that into an anime, that would sure be like the best thing you could do to evolve into the medium that you are speaking about. So you got to think that like a lot of thought and a lot of care was put into who was selected to like bring this thing to life.
No,
and so like
you're actually there's a story, which is that Yuasa literally his fans told him he would be good for adapting this manga, so he looked into it. And
really? That's awesome.
That's absolutely fascinating. Yeah. And I mean, as you're saying, like obviously it's a show about a love to the medium of anime. And like I was thinking about it a lot as I was watching it, and it seems that it's about creation in general, but obviously most specifically, at least with Midori, the main character, it's almost like a love letter, especially with episode 1, specifically about concept design. That's what like episode 1 is all about, because like it's so telling, and that's why I love doing these like Weebcast style, Weebcast 2.0, whatever fucking thing we're doing here, where I can watch like all these shows and compare all their different strengths and weaknesses, and like this compared to, I don't know, any of that other shit. Like there's that rugby anime that we'll get to a little bit later. Like,
we'll get
okay, sure, that's anime original. Way to go, guys. You sure did shot reverse shot with like a bunch of pretty Bishoujo boys standing around in a room. And we'll talk about that more. And we're like, oh, wow, there's like a plot? Amazing. Great job, guys. But like in this show, there's so much... I mean, like the understated character we haven't really referenced yet is the city that they're in itself, and how it's so crazily designed, intentionally so, like a fucking like a Ghibli environment or whatever. Well, specifically so that like that it inspires our main character to use this as a setting for the anime she wants to make, and then when
even
we
though
see
this already is the setting of an anime being made right now,
right? How convenient that worked out.
I'm so excited to see more of that, man.
The city is so beautiful, and there's a fixation on, like you said, concept design and maps, I think, in this. And I was truly blown away because I made a video a few years ago called How Hayao Miyazaki Maps a Setting, using Future Boy Conan as an example of how Miyazaki will show lots of flyover shots when he first introduces a setting, or he'll show like, you know, he wants you to know exactly where you are. Characters always move, you know, across the screen in the same direction when they're going somewhere. Like, you understand where things are in relationship to one another, which makes the setting immediately feel real, because it's obvious to the audience when nothing has been imagined beyond this classroom, you know, or this hallway. Like when we see the full thing, then we go, oh, okay, I know where everything is in relationship to each other. It's like I live there myself. And so this show like uses those techniques while literally saying like, yeah, Miyazaki is how we learn to do this. You know, like this, he is how Miyazaki maps a setting is now how we map a setting. And there's this scene where she's showing all of like her maps that she's drawn to the character, and it looks like concept art. So I'm looking at it and I'm thinking, well, that is concept art. Somebody had to draw that. Like, somebody had to draw the fake concept art for this show, you know, that is itself for this show, basically, you know, like recursively, which incidentally, Masaaki Yuasa is the one who drew all those maps that are in that shot. So it is his production work that she's showing off. Like, the fact that there's that line where the other girl says like, oh, you're a set design, like you do setting design. That's so great. Cause like most people only do character art. And it's like, yeah, you really have to be like passionate about this particular thing. There's not a ton of people who draw backgrounds.
Did you like that Midori at the beginning? She says that like when she was young, she wanted to be an adventurer, an explorer. So like it's not like she always wanted to be specifically someone who like abstracts environments. That she had a passion for like the world she lives in and the exploration of the things directly around her. And she uses that passion of things in the real world to bring to life like fictional environments. And like I think that's exactly what Miyazaki talked about. It always does, about how you should bring life experience into what you're animating, not just like do the regurgitating of anime tropes over and over again, which we see in so many other shows that we're going to talk about.
It's that reality that that gives it life and that gives it a meaning beyond just being anime.
Let me just ask you one question, guys. Can you tell me anything about the setting of Rugby Show that we're going to talk about? Tell me where that happened.
Hall, dude.
Tell me how they interacted with the environment. What the fuck did they do? As opposed to, how about the one fucking scene that I got like 2 examples here that blew me away in the show where they're chasing Rich Girl to try to see if she's okay. She's up on a stage and these two duck down as the camera pans down to this mysterious little like under place that they move aside like stuff on the shelf so they can peer through and get closer to hear what they're talking about. The immersion you get into the scene and feeling of like how real this environment is incredible. And it's a little more lampshaded in when they're specifically walking through the town and they're showing Rich Girl like the sights of like the poor side of town or whatever, and like they walk into the laundromat, which for no reason just as a giant air conditioner directly in the doorway that they have to stop, duck under, and walk in, which just gives this one little environment so much more life. Like, what person in this world chose to put that there? Like, I'm like annoyed at them, but that person doesn't exist. This is a trick of like the set design that gives this environment so much more life, and the fact that like the inside of the interior is surprisingly big and luxurious, and there's a waiting room upstairs where they chill and relax, and they have their whole scene discovering each other's passion for animation. Like, all of this is exactly what misses from so much of your shit when you just care about, like, I don't know, the cute characters discussing their current like differences of opinion on rugby technique. Or I'm not trying to beat up on that show too much, but yeah, you
also,
get my point.
I love how like rough sometimes the show looks. Like, you know, some of the buildings are just like scribbles that everyone can do. And what I just find so fascinating about that is that it's an anime made by like professionals. We are talking about like best in the industry. But I think through these kind of simplistic drawings, it kind of gives you hope. Like, as someone who's wanting to start on animation, it kind of gives you hope that you can do that too someday, you know? Because it's not so much about the technical skill, it's just getting started. You know, put the pen on the paper and create, and the skill will come later with experience. And that's thematically what the show is about.
Oh, just on that point, let's just address that, like, we see, like, the concept art animated later on, and it's beautiful and amazing, but the scene earlier at the beginning, when Midori is just a kid, and we see her just individual, like, ballpoint pen drawing that world coming to life as we then explore that as, like, an animated set with that limited art style, blew my fucking mind! I was, like, so blown away by that sequence. And then the fact that we see that kind of revisited with all the improvements to art she's made growing up.
I'd nearly forgotten about that just because there's so much shit that's good in this episode.
My mind kept getting blown.
But in context, I mean, it's so nuts. And you know, on the subject of like the artwork, I just want to say like all the character designs are so... They stand out so distinctly. Like, for example, you've just got Midori, like, with her gender ambiguity and her, like, weird hat. What the fuck is that hat? Why is she wearing that hat? I don't know, but I notice that, like, her backpack and, like, all her shit is also camo. Is there, like, a theme going on here? Is she trying to go unnoticed in this environment? I don't know. Or just like, I expected the third wheel here, once I kind of learned about the characters, to be, what's it, fucking Kana, the tall one, whose name I can't remember.
Sayaka.
Sayaka, yeah. How, like, considering she's the one who's not really invested in anime, I was kind of expecting her to be a drag on the whole production. Plus, she has this kind of ugly skeletal face.
I love her.
But then, once the story gets rolling, she not only is like surprisingly charming looking with like her simplistic art design that can just, I don't know, like something about her skull-like face just is so enticing, and the way she's always looking for money and shit, and her, I don't know, just her fucking conniving asshole way of being around these friends. She has like the most personality of any of the characters, and is like my favorite character.
In spite of like her being profit motivated, and like she makes it explicitly clear, this is not a selfless thing for her. She is selfish here, right? But the show doesn't like look down on that. It doesn't make it seem like it's a bad thing. And I'm just so fucking sick of like making money bad in every show I watch nowadays.
Right.
And it was just such a breath of fresh air of seeing that being
Also,
rewarded.
I noticed how she's incredibly tall, and this motherfucker drinks more milk than any person I've seen on the fucking planet. This is obviously not a coincidence. This is a pro-milk propaganda film.
The dairy
being
companies,
pushed
man, they're
by
sponsoring the fuck
this
out of it, I guess.
Yeah, no doubt. They're in with USA. I just love that this tall ass character, like her gimmick seems to be, among other things, drinks a ton of milk. Hilarious.
Didn't even pick up
I
on
didn't
that.
also.
Right? Subtext, baby. Subtext.
Sayaka, so she has the big rousing speech she gives to the other two about like why, like, just fucking do it, you know, just go and do it, and like it's so.
Your parents say you can't be in the anime club? We will make our own
fuck
legally
'em.
distinct
Right.
anime club. Fuck yes.
Well, that's the
Problem
thing.
solved.
So many young people. This is, I think, one of the biggest problems I faced as a kid. That I wish I could re-educate myself on. This is that young people don't know the scope of what they can get away with.
Yeah,
They think rules are way more powerful than they are. Basically, when rules are basically suggestions that you should pretty much break as often as possible. That's my advice. But yeah, like if she's just like, dude, you're thinking about this. You're not thinking about this like dynamically enough. Like, yeah, you can't join the anime club, but we can make another club. Like, there's always a workaround. You know, like if you're
that's one of the
passionate
main
about
reasons.
this, do not give up. Find a workaround. Find something that
Even
works. Which is, sorry, that's kind of the core of the like otaku hero's journey idea that I always talk about. Is the idea of it's not good enough to ever say die. You know, like you always have to keep fighting, because even if you lose, you would never have. There's no way to win if you stop. You know, like
That's like the primary shonen virtue of like the shonen hero.
So it's just like, hey, I know that it seems like you can't do this, but are you going to live with yourself being somebody who didn't do this, or are you going to fucking find a way, you know? And that's her attitude. And like, it's important. I think that's important as the attitude of a producer, and like it's a good way to show why a producer's valuable. Like what they add is that they you know, yeah, sure, they don't have the ideas, but the idea people are fucking lost in their heads, you know. These are
like, if you've got a bunch of idea people sitting around and they dream of making an anime, but they know it's like a 10-man production and it's going to take them 2 years to get it done or whatever, like the producer is the one who gives the opportunity of those people to be able to make their dream project, which is a totally undervalued part of the team, at least in like popular culture or whatever, and should be treated as
they're
such.
also important to like, you know, recognizing your talents and helping you to make executive decisions, because artists are really down on themselves, you know. Like artists will not publish their work. They'll be like, oh, it's not good enough, or I don't know, will anybody like this? And the publisher is the one, or the producer is the one who will be like, no, you got to make this. Like, you don't even worry about whether it's going to be popular. That falls on my shoulders, you know. Like, that's my job. You worry about making the thing, you know, and I'll tell you if you're fucking up. So I think that's I'm really happy that character exists in this show, and that they're taking her seriously as the producer character. I think US.
I hadn't even thought of that.
I
haven't even thought of that, but that makes sense.
I thought of it, but he also has said it in like an interview, I think.
Okay, there you go.
That like they are meant to represent like the three kind of core like elements of an anime production, you know.
Yeah, I was kind of wondering how her role. I was like, she's got to be involved in this somehow, but that seems like a perfect fit. Can't wait to see more.
Yeah. So
it makes me like her even more than I already did.
Love the characters. We got to talk about some more of the scenes, because that part you were talking about with the stage. I think of that as sort of a vertical slice of like the themes of the show, and like what it's trying to say. So earlier when they're pushing Miyazaki in Future Boy Conan, there's a scene where they're pushing this big like flying device out of the ground, and she points out that even though this device is completely alien and doesn't look like anything we understand, because they push it like a car, it gives you the feeling that it's real, that it makes sense, that like even if this logic, like why the fuck would this thing need to be pushed, you know? What technology is running, it doesn't matter, it feels real because they pushed it, you know. And so during the scene where they're on stage, they run up this set of stairs, and there's a guy who's following them up the stairs, and they start pulling on these levers at the top of the stairs. So one of the levers opens up a trap door, I believe, and then another one, which is comical because you see it open and you're like, oh, well, that's not helpful. and then they pull another one and it causes like the curtains to fall, and the guy's still advancing up the stairs. Then they pull the third one, the stairs turn into a slide, and he slides into the previously opened pit.
Hilarious.
It was awesome.
Hilarious
It feels
moment.
perfectly logical for this to happen because we've seen there's so much setup, there's so much, like, we understand that, okay, it's funny that there are these levers that do things on the stage, and because they missed the first time, it feels way more realistic. It's like, oh, haha, it would have opened a trapdoor, and that would have been ridiculous, but, you know, but then it's even more ridiculous because it's a slide into a trapdoor, but you totally buy it, even though if she had just pulled the lever and it had turned into a slide and a trapdoor, it would have seemed fucking ridiculous, you know, but it's such a good scene, such a good payoff, and that is basically exactly what she was describing. It feels real, even though it's totally ridiculous because of the setup. Fucking just practicing what you preach well. And
that OP too.
there's also amazing scene. Oh, I forgot to mention the fucking music in this show.
The music was great.
In this. This was the fastest. The fastest.
This is the
I ever
greatest
wanted to
opening
download.
song I've heard in like 10
I
fucking
love
years.
Easy Breezy.
Easy Breezy is hands down one of the most awesome openings of
Breezy.
of ever. It's so fucking sick. I cannot wait for the full
It
version.
just
I've been listening to
embodies
this
the
on
show
loop.
perfectly. It's
sick.
It's a show that promotes like optimism, joy, and excellence, and I feel like the opening is perfect.
Yeah.
for it.
And fun, man. And it's
I said joy. Stop adding
I-
things, Jack.
okay, buddy. I'll fucking kill you right now.
Even aside from the OP though, just the soundtrack, it's weird, it's experimental, it's got lots of cool noises in it. I was like, this is only maybe once every couple of years does a show come out where I hear the music and I think like I want to listen to that on my own time, like regularly, and this is one of those.
Made in Abyss was one of those for me.
Yeah.
Do you
Did you,
did
in
you guys
fact, end up-
appreciate?
Did
sorry,
you end
go
up listening to Made in Abyss OST regularly?
I listened to that thing on loop. I fucking love the OST of Made in Abyss. Yeah, it's incredible.
Same.
But especially like kind of the big
the
moment
big-
songs. But like there's well, I was gonna say in this show, did you guys appreciate that when they're doing both in the beginning like sketch art, like concept art, animated sequence, as well as the one we see later on, the more detailed one, that like it was the characters doing the sound effects themselves with their voices of the things that was happening, visually.
Yeah.
You're picking
I
up
think I
on
might
so
have
many
understood
things,
that
man.
emotionally without
No,
even
I
noticing.
remember that was awesome.
I watched this
That's
episode twice.
awesome.
I loved it so much.
I should rewatch this first
It was
episode.
such a joy.
Oh, so good.
I mean, honestly, I
definitely
kept
will.
watching it back just to hear Easy Breezy again a couple of times. But God, that song is so fucking sick.
That's great.
And I was the other thing about it was, I mean, obviously, I'm just kind of restating some of the things we've said, but like the most amazing moment for me when I really understood what the series was trying to teach me was like the biggest moment when they're doing their whole, we're imagining now our combined storyboard, like our anime in this world with the art from other character and I can't remember their fucking names, but you know what I'm talking about. When they're acting it out and they're doing the like wing chase thing, and there's the whole sequence of hot girl or model girl. She just drew a little pod. And then the other character's like, oh, okay, what does this pod do? And so they're walking us through the exact exercise of what you need to do when you're building a world for population with your anime dialogue and characters,
And then,
whatever the fuck.
But they explain it, but then it just keeps happening beyond that to like further and further detail. And the scene where they designed the flying machine, the
dragonfly, whatever.
dragonfly.
Yeah.
Like, first of all, it looks like something out of a Miyazaki work. But like the way that through the animation the thing is like built, where like when the third character gets inside, like a new chair is drawn in, like and all these panels and stuff, and like it felt so, because if you watch a lot of classic anime, then you know that like otaku are like fetishistic about the attention to detail in a machine. Like every part has to make sense, even if it just looks like it's just there to look like a sci-fi machine. Like it has to look like a real sci-fi machine, you know? And they pull that off just in like, they don't even explain why all these details are here, but like it's being drawn into the background, just this gorgeously designed, very like increasingly realistic feeling mech, basically.
And seeing our characters on the like sketchy art style that is obviously designed to represent, fucking sick. Looked so cool.
It's just like, I mean, when I when I create something, like the more into it I get, the more detailed it becomes. You know, it's like, all right, he's gonna have this sword that goes really fast. So, you know, like, well, then what if it's made out of wind? And then like the wind comes from the tribe in the north who, you know, this is the history of how that wind came to be through the passage of, you go all the way back to the fucking, you know, well, God created this world 6,000 years ago.
Peeling the layers back.
You know,
yeah. Figure out.
Right, exactly. And it felt like the animation itself was doing that to the, you know, like to the machine. Like the characters had already set the ball rolling and they start discussing how they're adding on to it, but then it just keeps adding.
And you know what? If they just discussed it, that would have been nice. And, you know, seeing it fly was all that. But, like, my favorite part was seeing it pushed to its limits. Because, like, in the concept art, you see things like, there's, like, on the top left, there's, like, a little image that says, like, wings flap independently. And there's a bunch of charts in there. And, like, it all comes to a head when they're doing their, like, more advanced maneuver of, like, okay, we need to get through this crack to avoid the thing chasing us. We have to go on our side. So, like, it's you in the real world. What do you do in the situation when, oh my God, the controls aren't working because we got hit and one of the wings is an opera? What do we do? And they just, like, thinking practically about what you would do. This is what you would see in, like, a real situation. Obviously, it's, you know, you probably would fucking die if you tried this, but they fucking leap out of the window and use their body weight to tilt the machine. That's when it's like they're using their understanding of this, like, literally fictional thing in this fictional world, but they're applying what logic would be used in order to achieve the very specific goal to make, like, a believable, interesting scene that has, like, all the things that they were saying lacks from so many, like, lesser works. Things like weight, momentum, like the feeling and purposes of machines. Like, why are they there? Like Spike Spiegel using the fucking broom in the Cowboy Bebop movie to fight What's-Her-Face. Like, that's the shit you want to see in something like this. And it's exactly what they're demonstrating with that sequence. And it's just basically the coolest thing ever. It just gets you so excited to feel, like, about this medium and interested in seeing, like, what else can they do with this. And I'm not really exactly sure what direction they're going with this show. If it's going to be all about just, like, we're going to just do more of this. But, I mean, I cannot fucking wait for the next episode to see what's happening.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
Me neither. The one more scene I wanted to talk about before we move on is when the two girls are putting their papers on top of each other on the window.
Yeah.
Because, like, so I remember when I was 11, my aunt had this light board, and I used it to trace a bunch of pictures out of Nintendo Power to create my own magazine. And then once I no longer had access to that light board, it was just kind of like, well, I can't do it anymore, I guess. You know, like, again, it's that mentality of, like, oh, I'm dependent on the things I have. But it's like, here are these girls, not even without even thinking about it, just knowing at this point from having, you know, tried that, yeah, just put it up to the window and you can see what they'll look like on top of each other and you can draw that way. And I was just like, man, I'm so glad that they show you, like Manmode was saying earlier, that this show is, like, instructional. Like, it's meant to motivate and inspire and, like, teach kids how to get into this. And it's like, hey, you don't need a trace board. Hold it up to your fucking window. You know, like, life finds
There's
a way.
always an alternative.
Problem
There's
solved.
always a different way to handle
Like you guys
situations.
were talking about all the scenes, I really, really appreciate all those. It's all great. It's just personally, the story being like about creators. Yes, it's about the animation, but at a larger scope, the theme is about creators, right? Which is something that everyone who has ever created anything can relate to. It makes me think about, like, my humble beginnings on getting started and inspired by many creators I was watching online, finding all sorts of, like, excuses not to do it. I don't have a good enough PC. I don't have I don't know how to do it. I don't own a program to do it with, and just learning from being a little baby, like learning how to do fade transitions in Premiere, to now making these long, big, ambitious videos that I'm super happy with, and through this passion, like getting in touch with creators I always looked up to, and meeting new people and learning from them. This is the type of story this is. That's why it appeals to me so much.
You're right, because more than just, like, that's why my favorite character, despite, like, the ones who are really doing the kind of heavy lifting intellectually in this episode, are Asuka and Mizusaki, like the two, like, actual animators. Like, Kanamori is my favorite because she's the one who exhibits that drive that's just, it's not about what you're trying to do. It's about having kind of, like, a generic strength of will to just whatever you want to do, getting it done. And that's what she kind of does more than either of them. And perhaps it's just for purely selfish, greedy reasons. But you know what? That's hilarious in of itself, and I love it anyway.
I think that's what it's going for. It's like greedy, but it benefits others too. It's not like, just...
That's true. That's true.
Basically, it's like an exchange, It's great.
I couldn't agree more. This is a great show. I think I would probably give this like upon rewatch, I still loved it. I think I'd probably give it like a strong 9. So like it could
straight 10 out of 10.
Straight 10. Okay.
There's no way not. I haven't cried twice in the first episode of a show
in fact,
ever. So.
I'm just curious. What made you cry? What were the moments?
It was first the moment where she's describing the animation from Future Boy Conan in the theater. That got me a little misty. Mm-hmm. Then when they put the papers up to the window, that was starting
like my
to get
characters
me.
on a background.
And then finally when the big ending sequence, just seeing the thing come to life, the story.
And she's like, "It's my
life.
perfect world." There it is.
My favorite scene, which
my
is the
stream
one that made me
hiccuped at
cry,
that moment.
is when
very annoying.
The scene that made me tear up is the one where Kanamori gives the whole speech about like, you guys are young, you have nothing to lose, do it.
Yeah, that's true.
That
Fuck it, man. Figure it out. Do whatever you got to do. Did you guys
before somebody calls me out for streaming? I didn't mean to say my stream hiccuped. It was actually that the computer I was watching the file on was so shit that it hiccuped trying to render that, like trying to play that scene. It the computer couldn't handle it.
Okay, boomer. Whatever, dude.
You've seen that old shitty computer I stream off of.
Guys, unrelated. I have a question. At the beginning, when I was introducing the show, because I just remembered, did I say Astro Boy by chance?
You said Astro Boy.
You did say
I
Astro
definitely meant Conan.
It was really embarrassing, dude. It was really embarrassing. I was cringing for
I'm
you,
so
bro.
embarrassed right now.
I thought there was something I'd forgotten.
No, I definitely meant Conan.
I thought it was a joke.
I meant Conan, but
Yeah, I thought you were joking,
old-fashioned
but it didn't land.
retardation.
That was
mistake.
That's what I thought too.
I just got nervous, guys. Did you put me on the spot?
This is the big one of the season.
For sure,
so
everyone
it's
loves it.
understandable.
Everyone loves it for good reason. It was great, and I hopefully it just gets more popular.
Absolutely fantastic.
And
And I was gonna ask, so the name of the episode it was like "Keep Your Hands Off Eizouken" is like how it's translated, or whatever. Yeah. Does anyone know what Eizouken is? Is that the city? Is that the idea? I don't know what that word means.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Okay, because here's just my theory. I read a little bit of the manga just to see what's going on. I didn't read any further than the story went here, and I was wondering, just thinking of if the name of the series is "Keep Your Hands Off Eizouken," and like there's a lot of emphasis placed on like how beloved like the city they live in is, and how like weird like the architecture of it, and how eclectic it is. I'm wondering if like
no, I found it. It means the Motion Pictures Club.
Oh,
keep your hands off the motion pictures. Okay,
so don't mess with us. Don't mess with us.
I didn't know what that meant.
Yeah,
I thought this might become a series that's like about protecting the specific environment, and I was like, that would be a weird change.
I think it's going to be more about them trying to protect their right to make anime in the face of people who don't.
I agree. And I love how fucking Mizukami, or whatever her name is, like the pretty one, is like my parents, like I'm allowed to join any club, specifically not anime club.
If it was
it's the
live
only
action.
club.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, those right there, those are good parents. Those are
losers.
good parents trying
saving
to
them
save their
from
daughter.
the stupid autistic medium that it is. So yeah.
But she's just too autistic. So there's no
you can't be
stopping her.
unless you're in the
She's
show
too
Pet,
powerful.
then she could be saved, but she's stuck.
Our parents didn't,
Yeah, you're
didn't
right.
do a good job either, so we're fucked.
No, they failed. We're fucked. So.
All right, that's enough about
it.
Eizouken. Let's talk about some shitty anime. I don't know if any of you watched it. Did anybody watch Orphen?
Yeah,
I sure did. I sure did.
No.
Oh.
So I'll just briefly introduce this because Orphen was originally a show from the 90s. It was, I think, a light novel series or something, but it had an anime adaptation. It had a video game. It was fairly popular. The old show looks pretty nice. This one doesn't. I think this is just just a full-on reboot, I think. Like, having watched the first episode of the original show a couple years ago, it definitely is not the exact same, but it introduces the same characters, and they don't seem to have known each other before, so I'd say this is a full-on reboot. But, God, it was fucking boring and terrible, and I did not finish the first episode.
It was very stupid. I was waiting for a moment for it to turn into hentai. Like it had that aesthetic, that shitty aesthetic of like a fantasy show,
does.
and I'm like, okay, when are you gonna fuck this
hentai?
dragon?
That could
Like
be
that's like something
Yeah,
like that.
yeah.
It was. I watched it. I enjoyed it. I was laughing at it because it's really stupid. The main character is like some.
Sure.
I don't know. I don't know if
fair.
I'll watch more though. It was bad.
I have a line here that says, "This def sucks. Generic, fairly boring, uninteresting characters, boring premise." I mean, I guess that pretty much sums it up for me.
The two.
Good luck saving that dragon, dude. I'm not going to be there with
the two
you.
kids that were like the criminals were pretty.
No, those were dwarves. Totally distinct.
Oh, they were
They're dwarves, sir. Yeah, that's true.
Oh yeah, there was
That's
like
real.
the flashback scene of like, oh, dragons exist and they drove humans to the brink.
Like dwarves existed, then dragons, and those are apparently dwarves.
Those two dwarves are important characters. Those are
Yeah.
Are they?
main characters in Orphen. Yeah.
God damn it.
Well, what do you know?
Yeah.
But yeah, this. I mean, it looks like garbage. It feels like garbage. It's garbage.
I
It's
mean,
not
I
good.
guess it's kind of cool watching the dude do spells. I mean,
I
you
hate
know,
him.
Literally,
I hate him.
If you were
spells
to
are
watch,
cool.
if you were to even watch the OP of the old show, you
Yeah.
would become like disgusted in like the pit of your stomach.
Is it
looking
that
at
much
this
better?
one. I mean, just animation and art quality wise, it's vastly superior. Like the old
okay,
show looks good. This show looks like shit. So
That's too bad.
I mean, that's enough of a difference. Like,
You know what?
The old show is still like a fairly generic fantasy thing. So like, I haven't been ever like super compelled to go finish the old show. But like watching the first episode of the old one, I was like, man, this looks nice, and this blonde girl's really cute.
Yeah, she's
In the
cute. I
old
like her
show,
hair
she-
swirls and stuff.
I didn't find her cute.
She wasn't
in this
cute in
version,
this, man.
so
I wanted
it makes
her
a
to.
big
Really?
difference.
I wanted her to.
I like looking at the dwarves, especially like with like the particular spiky hair of the one and the particular swirly glasses. They were like so 90s, and so many of these designs were.
Which is why it's weird, because
Yeah.
they're like 90s designs, but they're not drawn
they're
in a
animated
90s
in
style.
Yeah. It
Don't
It was
watch
really
this. And if
jarring.
you have
Nah,
any
skip
interest
it.
in this, go watch the original. Even if
There
you
you
did
go.
watch this
There
and
you
liked
go.
it, just go watch the original. It will be better.
A
Sounds legit
girl
to me.
turns into a dragon. It was pretty funny. Yeah. Okay. That's all I have to say. It was.
Manmode, you didn't watch this one at all? All right.
didn't
We'll
miss
move on
anything.
then. Next up is Murenase Seton Gakuen.
Oh, this one.
And
Oh yeah, that one.
Jackisboy, do you want to introduce this one?
Sure, yeah. So it's this one human boy. He's a teenager, and he's going to high school, but he's going to this one high school that has a bunch of animals there and animal people. And he has to find his way through, and there's only one other human there. She's a girl, and he likes her, and there's this stupid dog girl that likes him. But I don't know if she's just a dog, and it's hijinks ensue.
She is honestly enough, like, so even though she's a dog girl, but all she has is ears and a tail,
Yeah.
right?
She's
like,
a wolf girl.
Wolf!
please.
Oh my god,
Sorry.
yeah, she's a wolf. Sorry.
Yeah.
She's this tiny little pink, adorable wolf girl.
And she's cute.
Who I could watch all day because I love her voice.
Oh, me
She's
too,
played
man.
by,
Me too, man.
Hina Kino, who I've never heard of before. I think she's relatively new. But yeah, I don't. Let's see any roles that anybody would know. Doesn't really look like it. So yeah, I don't know anything about her, but I loved her in this role. I love all the dog noises and yelps and stuff that she works in. But yeah, I mean the plot is that the retard wolf girl is in love with main boy, and she's enough of a wolf that I don't know if she'd pass the "can I fuck this" test.
Okay,
She
that's
is-
what we
Know
gotta
about that?
talk
She
about.
is
we have
too
to
much like a wolf.
Okay, because there's an X factor here. Okay, because this show is weird because there's both animals that are like full, like you get a full like lion head dude.
Yeah.
But then you'll also have like a lion girl that maybe just the girls. Maybe it's like that old cliche of like the fantasy, like the
I
girls
think
just look like sexy versions and the guys are the big monsters. I don't know.
Was that
I'm
what
not sure.
It seemed to me. I mean, no, because he's the only guy at the school, right? Or
Well,
he's the
no,
only human?
he's just the only human. There's
Never
plenty of male other beasts.
I was kind of thinking it was more like just anything on the spectrum of furry exists here. Because weren't
Well,
there people who were, like
okay,
between
no.
the two?
No,
Or is it
okay.
just animal ears and full animals?
It's weird.
Tell
It's
no, okay.
hybrid. It's
There's
so
there's
weird.
more to this equation because you can't tell me that you were perfectly comfortable in your seat as you see this girl walking on her hands and knees away from the dude.
That shit
Like,
was
that was-
funny,
I was-
dude.
okay.
That shit was funny.
There's a moment me and Michelle always talk about this. Fucking in Pokemon, where like they're feeding all the Pokemon and they pour some into a bowl, and then Mr. Mime gets down on his hands and knees and starts eating with the other like
Like a
lowly
slave.
beast.
Oh my god.
It is disturbing and fucked up, and he's a member of the family. See, this is what I'm talking about. She is too animally for it to be totally comfortable. Like watching her do, or rather, okay, she's too human to act as animally as she does, and as a result, it is kind of uncomfortable and weird, and makes me upset deeply.
There's that test. It's based on the character from Doctor Who, I think, who fucks everybody. There's a test that you have the sentience, like, can I fuck this creature test, and it's just the rules are, is it mature for whatever species it is, and can it consent? I don't know if this girl.
I think she can.
It's I guess she could. I mean, if she really wanted it, it would be obvious. It just feels like I don't know if she's like human enough for me to think it's okay to have. It feels like you'd have sex with a fucking animal.
Well, okay, for once in my life, my thoughts were not about fucking this character. They were simply about treating them.
Yeah, I was
like,
surprised too. I was like, okay.
I don't
As
even
a
treat
human or
regular
not.
people like human beings. All I care about is whether I can fuck somebody.
That's the best outlook to have, I think.
Okay, like here's another big thing that makes this weird. Like at the end, after like whatever, the little arc about, they become friends over episode 1 or whatever, there's like the thing where now she's like, okay, he joins her pack, and honestly, it's adorable that she calls herself the boss, despite being this tiny little, I love that. That's really cute. But then, like, now that he's in her pack, she jumps on his face and like kisses him, but is actually just licking his face. And there's a little thing that's like, this is what wolves do.
There's something we really need to bring up, because it's not just about like, can I fuck her? It's that sexual assault is
rampant.
Happens in this show.
Yeah,
it's rampant in this show.
Yeah, it's everywhere.
Definitely true.
Is this the one I think this is the show I was thinking of that I literally called it like sexual assault the show. Like half the show.
There was another one. There was another one where it was worse.
Oh, I'm thinking of a different. Okay.
But like at the like the bully bears, they do grope
Plunderer.
like the human lady. That's true. But that was only one time, and compared to
Plunderer
others,
is not in the list for me for some reason.
I forget which show that was, but I definitely remember thinking
It's
one
Plunderer.
Plunderer.
Yeah, but we
Plunderer.
haven't-
Okay.
Oh, God.
Yeah.
Yeah,
All right.
For some reason,
show?
it's not on this particular.
Yeah, it's not
season
on there
list I'm
either,
looking at.
yeah.
Anyway,
Weird.
We'll talk about
Seton
it last.
Gakuen.
Yeah,
but
let's wrap this
it
one
did
up.
have some sexual assault jokes in it. I definitely it was a show that I was watching, and I felt like I enjoy this. I'm having a good time. I think it's funny, but I know that there is somebody who, if I were to tweet like Murenase Seton Gakuen, good fun time, great cute show, somebody's gonna be like, what about all the sexual assault? Because
There was only like one in this show.
There was like 2.
Well,
like
that
remember
might
when
have
he
been 2.
takes the zebra's tail and like shows her panties?
Oh shit! I forgot about. Okay, that was a pretty big one. I forgot about that.
That was a good moment. Yeah,
That's true. That was so unnecessary for what he was trying to accomplish in that scene.
you just wanted to
show
see
off
some
her-
zebra
And-
ass, dude. Can you fucking like?
Can you blame him?
It was funny.
I can't blame
I kind
him.
of got a chuckle, but it was also whatever.
I mean, what I enjoyed about this show was basically, aside from the main girl is cute. She has lots of cute animations, little fun moments, and she's kind of like beaten down on. It's like she's like this kicked dog, this wounded puppy.
Did you remember that? Did you see that WebM that gets posted all over A of like the lady with like her slime on her cart, and she gets the shit beat out of her for like being a demi-human or whatever? It always gets posted in threads about this shit. Big vibes of that.
I don't remember, but
I'll get it. I'll find it.
The other thing that's good about the show is that the main character is this like incel school shooter, like pissed off.
Absolutely,
like,
he's so racist against
he
these
literally
fucking beasts.
hates animals. He goes to school with all animals,
Full
and he's
black
like,
pill.
I fucking hate animals. I hope they all die. I want them to go extinct. Fuck these animals. He only cares about the human girl. He's just concerned about propagating the white race. He doesn't want to
that's
fuck
literally
any of
his
these other
attitude.
races.
This is like black pill bad ending of Beastars or Zootopia. We went the wrong direction, at least in this man. He is the school shooter from that
as
world.
Somebody who hates animals myself, I felt a strong kinship with this.
You hate animals?
He's borderline
Okay,
genocidal.
so I
this
was
man.
just
he
gonna
wants
say,
he explicitly says he wants them wiped out in this episode. He wants them gone. He has made that clear.
Just gonna say I relate to Digi. I hate animals. I started this episode, watched like 2 minutes, skipped to the end where the girl, the wolf girl or whatever, is licking the the face.
Oh, you didn't see
And,
the bears?
I just
almost
closed it and I was like,
the bears sexually
This is
assault?
not for me. No, I haven't seen it.
Sexual assault is for everyone.
It was
I
everywhere.
basically didn't watch this show.
Reconsider.
Okay.
Reconsider.
Yeah, I don't know if I.
You did not miss much.
Yeah.
I don't think it's like a need to see.
No,
show.
it's
It's okay. It's fun.
I just final point though about this is like about the like animal theme. Like the opening song is like very like jungle-y.
Oh yeah, I really liked the OP.
Yeah.
That
I'm
was
just
great.
saying that
It was a
this
weird
show
jungle song.
has really on the scales of like human to like animal to like a level of comfort. This show is too far animal, and it makes me uncomfortable watching it, and it's uncomfortable. It is weird.
I'm just saying, Digi, I think we should bond over hating animals after the show.
Absolutely, we'll fucking go.
Go kill.
Some,
You
stomp
guys are
out some
psychos.
fucking
Just
dogs.
Break into people's homes and killing their dogs. Hell yeah. All right.
It's the right thing to do.
Remember
Alright, enough
Maddox
about that
hating
show.
on
Yeah.
dogs? That's me.
Well, since I don't see it in the list, how about we just swerve and talk
Plunder.
about Plunderer?
Oof.
'Cause,
Sure.
Good lord,
Youch.
that was suffering.
Ouch.
Can I say worst anime of the season so far? I think
I
I
agree.
hated it more than Darwin's
I agree.
Game.
I don't know. I made it through the
Darwin's Game
episode.
at least was funny.
I made it through the episode. I don't know. They're probably tied for me.
I made it through the first. Well, this was another that they released 2 fucking episodes.
I didn't watch the
and
second
I made it
one
through
for
the
this
first
one.
Yeah. Oh, you
Almost
missed it. You
exclusively
missed it,
because
buddy.
wanted to see like if anything was going to change. Like so this shit. This is the stupidest fucking shit. Because like even trying to describe
Oh,
it,
God.
I feel like I'm in.
Okay, can I just
the-
say what this show is?
Go ahead. Yeah.
In its essence, Plunderer is the worst parts of SAO. It's
Yep.
exposition
Sure.
followed by rape, followed by being saved by a pretty boy with dumbass powers.
There's constant
yeah.
sexual
Yeah, yeah,
assault to this show, to an extent that even I was just like, why? Well, the thing is, it's not even tittillating. That's the weird
It
thing
isn't,
about
yeah.
it. It's not portrayed in like a super sexual way. The girl is not that attractive. But like,
I hate her hat is the most ugly
Oh,
fucking
I
anime
agree,
hat
I
I've ever
agree.
seen in my fucking life.
Yeah,
I want to
she's-
slap it off her fat face. I hate it so
So
much.
It's like not only does she not
Terrible
is she
design.
not particularly attractive, but they're not even really like drawing attention to her body during these scenes, which on the one hand I could say, well, maybe that's a good thing that you're not sexualizing this, but then at the other hand, the whole point of it is to be if I'm going to go look at rape hentai, I want to see rape hentai,
Sure.
why would I want to see all this sexual assault without that? Like, then it just makes me feel like I'm just like, am I just supposed to get pleasure solely out of watching this girl get assaulted?
Suffer.
Like, because
I think that
it seems way more fucked to me.
I think the first scene where the guy starts touching the girl's legs, I think that was pretty well done for what it is.
Okay, well let's
But then,
address the
I
elephant
just
in the
wanna
room
say,
where that's concerned.
After that, he's like touching her feet, and her feet are like upside down. Did anyone notice that?
Didn't
What
notice.
the fuck was
I
that?
didn't notice that. I'll take your word for it. But like, okay, it's the fact that like everyone has their number, the premise, whatever, it sucks, who cares? But like her special Madge number thing is on her inner thigh, right next to the puss.
Yeah.
So right then and there, now everyone, it's not even a choice. Everyone has to pry open her legs. They don't even have an option. You got to get in there. You got to get to her number. Well, great. Thanks God for putting that number there.
I really feel like that could be like fun or funny. Like,
Sure.
I'm thinking about like
Sure.
Seikon no Quasar. In that show, the characters are powered by drinking breast milk. So
Right.
like, if anybody wants to fight, they gotta suck some tits first, and they find a lot of unique ways to make that happen, which are hilarious. This show is just like watching this girl get like near raped all the time, and there's nothing funny about it.
And
There's
I don't
nothing-
understand. In
It's
episode
just
2 or
like,
whatever,
it's just, what the fuck? Like, why
Like,
am I watching this?
the hero who saved her had previously sexually assaulted her in
Yeah.
some pretty
Yeah.
egregious ways.
and
Like, what
she treats
the
it.
fuck?
Before he even saves her, she's like, okay. The episode starts off with us not even realizing this girl's an important character at all. The
Yeah.
first introduction is just the main guy perving on her and her running away, and she's like literally trying to escape from this guy. But then she gets rescued by this like restaurant owner who
Oh, yeah.
works with this guy And I really thought she was almost the worst of them all because she just kind of brushes it under the rug.
Yeah.
Like, she smacks him, and
clearly
then
used to it.
She says to the girl, like, "Oh, just here, we'll give you a coffee to pay you back." And it's like, bitch, that he was trying to rape me. Like, how about
just get
maybe
a little
more,
squeeze
there,
like,
you know.
but then, like, she just, from that point onwards, she's just sympathetic towards him. Like, he was like, because he's trying to beg her for food or whatever, and she's like, "Oh, well, wasn't he hungry? Shouldn't we help him out?" And I'm like, what the fuck? Like, no.
Yeah.
Let him fucking die. What are you talking about?
And the girl who was almost raped after this exchange, like, starts laughing like a psychopath. And even the bystanders are like, what the fuck? Why is this girl okay? Like, why are you laughing?
The whole thing was just it was insulting to my intelligence.
It was yucky.
Aggressively.
Let's
like,
on the subject of the character and stuff. It's like, okay, he's got, like, his thing is that everyone has their count, and, like, you do a good thing, it goes up. You do a bad thing, and it goes down. He's at negative 999, which shouldn't be possible, but okay, like, there's reasons. Got it. Understood.
Okay, yeah.
And, like,
everybody has a social credit score in this
That's
show.
yes,
That
China,
is on
thank
your
you.
body. We need to
Yes.
clarify.
But
You
it's
have
like
it on
just
your
an
body.
arbitrary
But
number. Like,
Yeah.
And if you have a lower
It
number,
is.
you
It's
have to do
super-
anything someone with a
Unless
higher
you
number
challenge
tells you.
them.
that as soon as that got it, oh my god, it's so
I mean,
fucking
what the fuck?
stupid. Like,
What the fuck?
The main so the lady at the restaurant is like, "Oh yeah, my number goes up if someone says my food is delicious, and it goes down if somebody says that it's disgusting." And this literally controls all of my life. Like, I just have to answer to anybody with a higher. What the fuck? Like,
but her number
the
is
society
based on
makes
something
no
completely
fucking
different.
sense.
And everyone's number is like
Everyone's
just
different.
arbitrary
Everyone's different.
bullshit.
They're all being
And then
judged.
people-
But then there's the special people who, if you have like a device that has its own number, it cancels out your number.
So stupid.
Yeah.
Fucking.
And the people
okay,
with a
I just-
higher arbitrary number get to, like, command the guys with lower numbers, right?
yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
They can just rape you. That's what the guy was doing. He literally was. This guy is like, "I have a higher number, so I'm going to rape you." But then she's like, "No,
she actually had a higher number at that time.
She had the higher number initially, so she's like, "Oh, you're not allowed to command me because I have a higher number." And he's like, "Well, then I challenge you to a duel, and if you accept, then if you lose a duel, your number is taken by the other person, and now, you are just their slave. You can do it. You're only level 1. You mean nothing. Your life is worthless. Like, what is this society?
Yeah.
Why would anyone participate in this? Like,
guys,
what the fuck?"
I think this is Eizouken level of developed world and planning.
I agree.
structure.
I agree.
Every
you're
setting
right,
had so much meaning to it, and the characters are so. I can feel the passion
So
for
nuanced,
rape
dude.
and
They're-
being
oh my
raped in all
God.
of them. I just wanted to point out there's so many retarded things about the show, but one that sticks with me is just like everything else aside, I don't understand how you got this wrong, which is just. Like, it's like when we first meet hero guy, Lugosi, whatever the fuck his name is, I don't know, not Lugosi. That guy leaked or something. He, like, tries to grope the girl or whatever. There's, like, no reason in doing so. He's clearly, like, a sexual predator. And then he saves her. And, like, okay, you're set up for, like, some kind of twist with, like, his negative 999 number. And, like, at the end, he saved her. Like, all is forgiven. He's a hero in her eyes. Okay, understood. He's leaving now because he has other things to do. It's plot points. And, like, as he's leaving, she yells out, like, "I hate you," to him because he's leaving and, like, she needs him. And then his number ticks up to negative 1,000. And that made me think, like, okay, are we trying to get ourselves in a situation here where it's not that he actually has been rejected by girls, because once we know his true identity, he seems pretty charming, pretty handsome, pretty capable. I don't really think he's done that much bad stuff. And, like, it's just by having to be like the lonely Ronin, continuing to roam and leaving us broken hearts behind him. That's how he got his big
So it's
number.
literally the opposite of what they said. It's not
But
how
we
many girls
know
have
that
rejected
he's
him, it's how many
fucking
girls
tried
he's
to rape
rejected.
this girl like 10 minutes ago.
Yeah.
So, no, that's not what they're trying to say.
Also,
Like, everything else aside, how can you fuck that up? I don't get it.
what stood out to me
It's
is
infuriating.
that this girl, like, arrives at this town, right? She's looking for this guy, Ace, she's calling him, right?
Yeah,
If I remember
yeah.
correctly.
Yeah,
And
as the
then,
ace.
Correct.
as she's describing this, her quote-unquote ace appears, and it's...
Oh my god, I forgot!
indicated by a
He
star.
just shows up out of nothing.
And-
no reason for him to be there.
Yeah.
He was just there.
And later
Holy
you
shit.
find out that it's just a sticker. And you're like, wait,
she was-
so how
I-
how
Why
do
doesn't
you know?
everyone
The
use a
sticker.
How did you
The
plan
sticker
this
reveal
out?
was so good.
I died.
Like,
I
it wasn't
fucking
a,
died.
It wasn't a tattoo. It wasn't
It
like
was a
like
fucking-
drawn on. It was a
Oh.
sticker.
But like
I
this guy
laughed so
bought
hard.
or like created a sticker,
And it wasn't-
just
wait,
to
can we
fool this
appreciate
girl and rape her.
that we
guess
appreciate
so.
that the sticker, there was no reason it had to have like a clear part.
No, it could
right?
have just been a
Could
star.
have just been a star, but no,
He
it's
chose to have a
specifically
shittier
star
one.
on a clear sheet.
It was-
oh my
oh.
god.
Like, just walk through the logic, all you people listening at home. Like, if you have a sticker, and it's kind of important that no one find out this is a fake, because you're literally, like, raping people using this technique or whatever. Like, if you have a sticker, it's not like it's an indestructible thing. He has a sword, he has knives, he has scissors. You can just cut the clear part off at any time you choose to. He chose not to do that for no
That's how
reason.
cocky he is, man. He just
He's cocky as hell, man.
people just pay
Oh,
attention to the stupid
good
numbers,
stuff.
and then
Yeah.
I don't know.
This
Fastest
show is
sword in the
fucking
West,
terrible. I mean,
boys.
this show is like, it was hard to even distinguish it from so many other first chapters of manga that are exactly like this. Like any fucking, just throw a dart and you'll hit. Basically, any shonen that has an older protagonist, like like a Rurouni Kenshin or something like that, it's got like shades of that. It's just the worst possible take it could be on it. The manga is from the same author who did Sora no Otoshimono, which is pretty much just fan service comedy show. So I'm guessing that this is his attempt to be like, oh, now I'm gonna do a fucking serious sword show. But of course, because he's a he's a fan service guy, it's got to be super fan servicey. But tends to be that when you combine fan service show with narrative that has stakes, you end up making sexual assault show. And that's what we've ended up
I mean,
with.
guys,
I assume that's most of what we're going to see in this
Tell
show.
me
It's
if
just
I'm not
women
if I'm
having
wrong.
their thighs pulled apart.
Tell me if I'm wrong.
Yeah.
This show at its essence is the worst parts of SAO. It's exposition, followed by rape,
No, it
followed
is.
by a guy saving the damsel with dumbass retarded powers.
Yeah.
Well, I'm just saying that rape isn't always like a negative in terms of making a good story. Hence Berserk. I mean, it was used pretty interestingly.
Yeah.
Like that's fine, but for no reason. I see your
Yeah,
point.
it's like it's not even like even if the reason was just to be sexually titillating, it wouldn't even bother me that that's the case because I mean it's just not a show for everybody. Some people are going to get off of it, some won't. I can't imagine anybody getting off on this show.
can't.
It's not sexy.
No,
It's fucking strange.
'cause
I
the
mean,
art
I
is
don't
so
usually
bad
say
too.
this, but it did
Nice.
feel gross to me.
it was very off-putting. No doubt about it.
Yeah, everything
All
about
right,
it. threw
well,
me
let's
off.
Yeah,
move
that's
on to a
enough on that
show
one.
that was not off-putting. That was, by comparison, soothing. And okay, I guess I'll introduce this one because I haven't done one in a while. It's Itai no wa iya nano de bougyoryoku ni kyokufuri shitai o omoimasu.
AKA
Meaning.
Shield Hero Alternative.
Yes.
Shield Hero
Bofuri,
better.
I didn't want to get hurt, so I'll max out my defense. So this is a show about a girl who starts playing an MMO. She puts all of her points into defense. That is the story, at least so far.
Yeah.
She's a cutie. The game is
is.
totally broken in the logic of this
Yeah.
game. It makes no fucking sense.
Yeah.
No, it doesn't make any sense.
But the idea is that she, in the same way that any other, like, I guess this isn't an isekai because she's just playing this game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So far, there's been no indication that she's going to get
Wait
sucked
until
into it.
the
but
creators traps them in this world, and they can put
Who
the
knows?
helmet off because it fucking fries the brain.
She just fucking.
But
she just thrives through using the Pokemon moves struggle basically the entire time.
yeah,
Yeah.
So that was I watched the show on Kawaifu, and they have the scrolling comments, and somebody said like she just turned herself into a shuckle was one of the comments on the screen.
basically.
Yeah, I did not
But
give
yeah,
a shit
she's-
about broken game logic at all. I loved it.
Yeah. Oh well, tell me how you feel about the episode in general then.
Well, I think it's super cute. All her adorable reactions are extremely funny. I found like every time she gets a level up and she has new points, she's like, "All right, vitality goes then." And I just found that super funny.
It was the most relatable scene of all time. It was literally me
How you
playing
play
Dark
Dark
Souls.
Souls, yeah.
Exactly the same.
To me, it very much
Ruined
felt
vitality.
like how a lot of girls when they start playing a video game. I mean, it's for everyone. I just think that guys are more objective focused in general, whereas
Yeah, they're
girls
smarter,
are
yeah,
just
smarter.
like
Smarter,
Yeah, it's pretty
Yeah,
colors.
yeah,
I
yeah.
can just get vibe like pretty colors and the effects and all that stuff. So they're entertained by the
in
simple
that
things.
way, I agree with you that I think it's more like it is realistic to portray like a girl just kind of dicking around in a game. But just the fact that like she's putting everything in defense, it's really like, this show is like, I don't want to call it like misogynist or anything because it's not. It's not like that. It's just like, obviously, yeah, she's the girl. That's why she's the defense.
Yeah.
I mean, let's not
player,
forget, like,
you know?
we know that, like, the other characters, like, her best friend is clearly implied to be, like, a legendary, like, skilled player. So it's just, like, this girl's character is, like, a dunce. And,
Well,
you know.
and I will say that it's actually low key. It's setting up for something interesting because
Yeah.
she's a tank. Like, she doesn't know what that means and hasn't realized it yet,
Yeah,
but she is
yeah.
playing a tank class, so she's going to be a tank in the long run. That's where I see this getting interesting, is like her having to learn how to tank, them coming up with mechanics for tank. I mean, granted, again, this game, the logic already. So, like,
Broken.
Dude, no one in the history of this game had ever thought to just, like, take
Sit
some
there.
damage. No one had ever thought of that strategy.
it's just
Although-
the speed at which she gets to like like I don't dislike the concept of her just like sitting in a field getting attacked by monsters and having the defense to tank it. And this game has a Skyrim-esque job system, I guess, where if you do the same task over and over again, you gain points in it. So she gets absolute poison defense, absolute.
My favorite of these was like the fact that she like fell asleep playing the game and just was being hit by monsters for so long. That one I was like, okay, you know what? That's something that not everybody might do. I can kind of see how that could happen. Like that's funny to me and I like it. But it was other things like when she starts to get these insane amount of poison resistance by just like a normal amount of being hit by poison that any player would get.
I don't think she got hit by poison as many times as you would just going through one poisonous level in a video game.
Yeah, so I mean, things like that, a little bit silly, but I don't know. I guess I'm just accepting their premise and be like, okay, I guess she did it more than other people. Fine, whatever show.
I mean, I don't think it's supposed to be realistic. I think this is it's definitely more of an Iyashikei healing kind of show.
That's true.
It just makes me think like I hope it stays an Iyashikei healing show because if it ever tries to take itself seriously, then this will all come crashing down around it. And
right now we're at like a tipping point because like we're set up over these first two episodes. First one episode. I forget what it was for this one. And she's gaining these abilities. She's obviously speccing into defense in a big way. And like it's because her really experienced friend isn't there to help guide her. So she's making these mistakes, but it's working out in an interesting way for her. And like that's why she's skewed on such this extremely extreme path.
It seems like the friend is doing that on purpose because we have this sort of hint reveal. The friend is pretending that she cannot play this game because she has to study.
Well, hang on.
She was studying.
The way I interpreted that. The way I interpreted that was that she legitimately isn't free to study right now, but when she will be, she actually is just like a champion at the game. She just happens to be busy.
Okay. Is there not... Maybe I was mistaken with this, but there's a scene where when the main girl goes into the game, she meets this blonde girl who tells her, like, go over there to fight enemies or something like that.
Yeah.
And like Klein, the guy who literally is Klein, from Sword Art Online. I'm not going to call him anything else. His name is Kuromu. It's the same. Klein.
Sure.
He looks the same.
Klein comes up to her, to that girl, and he's like, "Oh, other girl is here," and it like shows a girl hiding behind a pillar. And I'm pretty sure that was the friend character.
Okay.
Right?
No, I forgot about that.
I don't think so, but maybe.
I think she's deliberately hiding in the game because she doesn't want the girl to know she's there because she wants her to spec herself however she will. Like, she doesn't want her to have the guiding hand on her the whole way through.
Well, that'd be fair. I wouldn't be too surprised if that turned out to be the case.
I believe that's what
I think that makes sense.
Regardless, I guess that does change things a little bit if that's true. But, like, regardless, like, right now it's been, like, an episode or two or whatever of, like, this character getting into this position. And I'm pretty excited to, like, see the other shoe drop when, like, she finally is interacting with players who, like, actually see what she's doing. And now that she's got this, like, legendary armor, which is extremely lucky, but I don't really give a shit. And, like, then they'll be like, whoa, she's, like, useful in XYZ way. And I want to see how that dynamic plays out. So I kind of really want to see the next episode just to see what happens from this dynamic.
This show, I didn't
Seems
know.
fun.
I didn't know what the show is going to be about. I was expecting like a Goblin Slayer moment early on when she's going into the forest alone. I was like, is she about to get fucking raped? But then it just like totally took like an entirely different
She rapes
perspective.
them.
She rapes them basically. Well, she still gets
Continuously
fucked,
for hours. I think it's fascinating that she chose the what to a lot of people seems like the boring tank role, where you just stand. Your role is to be in the front, provoke the enemy, and take all the damage.
She was not thinking about all those things, I think, but at the time, I think she
Well,
just
she's
wanted to
thinking
not.
defense. She said she was like, I'm not good, so I might as well just be defensive.
Yeah.
What I'm saying is that to a lot of, that's why I made the analogy at the start about like girls, because I mean this happened to me like multiple times where I would play games with a girl, and we would start playing, and the game systems seem too complicated. They prefer to focus on more repetitive, easy, boring tasks. And the charm of playing a new game for the first time for people who do not play video games is charming enough to keep them interested. I mean, it's the same with guys.
Sure.
But I just think that guys generally are more like
Guys
focused,
are gamers,
assertive, and want to be the protagonist, and
Well, and I'm going to get into some fucking real gender realism.
I'm just saying this is all from my experience.
let's do it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, there's a general trait in women to want to sort of maintain harmony over like trying to attempt to accomplish a goal. Like it's less about being in charge and moving the thing forward as it is keeping it working, keeping it structured and orderly. And you see a lot of women in games. It's a cliche in anime because it happens so much to play the healer. Just because it is a role that's about maintenance and about keeping everybody on this, keeping everybody healed. And it's like one of the most important roles, but it's clearly not like a healer cannot play by themselves. And a tank is a similar kind of role. A tank can play by themselves. And in many ways, they're seen as kind of the team leader because they're so necessary. But the role is like it's more about feeling driven to like somebody has to do it, so it has to be me. I think tanking is a more masculine role than healing usually is, and which is why it's funny that this girl is with no idea what she's doing, putting herself in the most complicated role.
That's true. It is.
But it is very. It's similar to healing in that it's a role that accounts for everybody. It's about managing your group, really knowing what's going on. Whereas the DPS are just fucking,
dick-ass teething around.
People like me who literally don't care at all, are not even concerned if we're gonna wipe. I just want to spam attacks. If I have to think, you better kick me out of your party.
I played rogue or thief or whatever it is in WoW for a little bit, and a lot of that's about like positional damage and like relative to them and stuff like that. And I'm sure everyone's seen all those charts of like it shows like modes, like healer, spam heal, spam heal, tank, spam aggro, spam aggro, and then it's DPS, and it's got like him like doing backflips like Pythagorean theorems all over the place, like fucking multiplication, square root of division, like the most complicated formulas in the world. I don't personally think that's exactly how it goes. I think tanks probably have the biggest job there, but I'm afraid
tanking has always seemed like the hardest role to me.
It's certainly the most pressure if you are the tank.
Yeah.
It's like the only unreplaceable role kind of.
But I mean, conceptually, being a tank, just holding up a shield and taking damage while the other guys do the work, conceptually, it's an easy job. Yeah, it's usually complicated, but
this is what I'm kind of worried about with this show. I could see it. This show doesn't strike me as the most fascinating show I've ever seen, and I'm a little worried that it's going to get bogged down in like inexperienced player just learning the ropes of what it is to be a tank with shenanigans ensuing as it happens. That would be like the worst case scenario, but they could also like not focus on that and keep it entertaining. So I hope it stays that way.
I don't even mind. I like these shows just going through the rules of video games because I'm always interested in what their permutation of it is. How do you think this works? Sometimes they have great ideas, and sometimes they don't seem like they've ever played a video game before. So
that's true. That's true.
The poison immunity.
Where this falls.
Jesus.
That poison immunity built so fucking fast. I was pissed off. It was so retarded how fast she got. Like not even immunity. She's got like god level. She literally has like all the powers of like the poison dragon Hydra boss.
Yes.
Like what the fuck?
When did she acquire enough?
That was amazing.
Yeah, I
When
thought
did
that was
she even
super
acquire
fun.
enough power, like potions, to survive that? Like, why did she?
The guy, like the high level player, just
Klein
gave them to her.
potions. Yeah.
So I assume it was just a ton. Oh, how convenient. Her last one is where she finally got immunity.
Yeah,
how fucking convenient.
She beats the dragon by eating.
Oh, that eating thing was pretty hardcore. I did like that.
And then it tasted good.
That
It
was
tasted
actually
good
hilarious.
after that. That was awesome.
She's
I
like,
almost forgot
yum,
about that.
I'll just eat the whole dragon.
I thought it was pretty hardcore to fight a boss that can literally obliterate your weapons and shield and shit. That's a high stakes battle. That's a high stakes boss.
I think my favorite moment is just the fact that when she realizes that it can't hurt her, she just is not afraid at all. Like,
yeah, I like that. I like her
think
change.
She's a champ.
that's a fun way for her to walk through this world because like she probably, based on her personality, she probably would be someone who's more fearful. Like obviously she put all the points into defense, but because she's so overpowered in defense, it's like the game is a joke.
Yeah.
you know?
I like her
It's
like cheering on the
nothing can even
bunny
hurt me.
to keep attacking her when she first meets. Like, you can do it. Like, keep hitting me.
And then she
One
gets all
day.
sad when it actually dies on her
That was
shoulder.
good. That was good. I like
That was really cute.
So
Yeah.
cute.
Oh, it sounds
Okay,
like we're pretty much done with
I
this
think
one.
we were all charmed with this episode itself.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was
Yeah.
surprised how charmed I was. No, it was really cute.
Me too. The designs look really generic. and
Yeah,
shitty.
no. The
Hopefully it
poster,
stays
I was
good,
like,
but-
light novel poster. I'm like, ooh, but then it was
Yeah.
pretty
The
nice.
costume she gets, like the armor she gets
Yeah.
at the end, though, I thought that was great.
It is badass. It's almost a little too badass and makes me suspicious, but
thought
I'm
it
sure
looked
that'll be played
beautiful.
for laughs.
It was epic.
It looks great. Obviously, it looks great. So we'll see. Hey, did she get like the big black magic shield too, or was it just the armor at the end?
She
of
got the shield,
boss?
I
She
think.
got the shield.
She did. Okay.
Yeah.
Just curious.
Yeah.
Although, did she for sure?
she
Because it would
definitely
make
got the
sense.
shield.
I can't
Okay.
remember.
Yeah.
Okay, I mean, I'll just say it again. You guys like how she got the literally unique drop first time running this dungeon
it's so
against the fucking
convenient.
it's the only one in the world, guys. The only
No
one
one
that
else
ever
has
I
it.
can forgive. I can
that.
forgive
Jesus
that
Christ.
because it's funny for a new
Yeah.
player to instantly get the best drop. It's different from the poison thing where it just feels like, well, wouldn't everybody have
this is
high level
better.
poison
It-
resistance? Like
It's just a lot of these things are piling up. But you
The
know
game
what? You're
logic
right.
does
I'm not
not
that
make
bad out of
sense. I
shape.
agree with that.
I forgive you, Show. You're still charming.
Masterpiece.
all right, well, let's talk about. I think we're on the last one, if I'm not mistaken.
Ending it off with the best one. Yeah, all right.
Yeah, ending it off with the
Hell
absolute
yeah.
classic of number 24. Who wants to introduce?
I'll take this one. Let me
You
let
go
me-
ahead. It
let me
sounded like
tell
you
you
were
the tale.
excited about it.
Number 24 is about proud gay men. It's about wonderful inter-male relationships.
Hell yeah.
It's about the highs and lows of anal sex. It could not be more of a charming, personally relatable story. All right, these boys play rugby. One of these guys got in a fucking motorcycle accident. He busted his dick, and now he's worried about swinging it onto the rugby field.
Poor guy.
I'm sorry. Look, it's just a B shonen series about
sucks.
rugby players, and it sucks.
Oh.
And okay, what do you think about this? This was weird to me. The whole premise is like the main character played rugby, but he can't do it anymore. He got held back a year in high school or whatever because of this motorcycle accident and like neck injury. He has a scar on his neck. I assumed this was like a spinal injury that would keep him from playing, but it's later stated, at least in the subs, that it's a serious hernia, which I'm sure that's bad, but like, is it that bad that he
Hernias are-
can't? I mean, okay.
I don't know, man.
I guess I'll just take their word for it.
It was. I didn't finish it, the episode. I think I made it halfway through. But there was this one.
I think I did about the same.
There was this one point when the coach is trying to like pat his head, and he was like a whole head.
Oh, yeah.
Shorter. I'm like,
That's
what?
a spine thing right there. You're talking
like-
about spine stuff. You're talking about the head. So commit already, you piece of
I'm like,
shit
what
show.
the fuck is
I
going
don't know.
on? Yeah, it was weird. It was very
I
ugly
mean,
though.
it's just about like I mean, like okay, he meets like a blue-haired guy who's joined the rugby team. Okay, our boy has decided that because he can't play rugby anymore, he's going to be manager of the rugby team. Even though it's a real bummer to see him around because he used to be like an ace or whatever. They're just going to put up with him as manager, and they'll try to pretend that this is what he always wanted for himself.
Yeah.
And there's like another guy with like blue hair or whatever who's trying to be on the team as well, and like. Our character, Natsu or whatever, they like bond a little bit because like, oh, you've got like ulcers from worrying too much. Yeah, you're taking fat shits while playing rugby. That's not good. So maybe, just do your best, be around rugby. And so that guy also decides to be a manager. So I guess number 24 in a nutshell is a show about lowering your
yeah,
expectations.
become a little bitch. Yeah,
The
become.
tragedy of the human existence. It's a deeper theme than you might think. It's not just about watching cute boys. Do you guys like the ending cutscene? Oh my god, you probably didn't see it. It's
Implying
like
I made it that far.
I did, because the ending cutscene is like, you know that like strong silent guy who was like his friend who was helping him out and like taking him.
Yeah,
to stuff?
yeah.
It's
The one that's following him
like a
around
clip
and
show.
shit, right? Yeah.
That's right. He's like a silent stuff, big silent guy. It's about like the ending cutscene or whatever. The credits is like those two growing up together, and like they're like in the bath together.
Ooh.
They're like riding bikes together. They're like meeting
Sexy.
their friends together. It's, I mean, just if anything, I was surprised that they like chose that character. He is like the childhood friend, but like I'm sensing more gay vibes between other people. So I don't know. They committed hard to this shipping. I think there's some other good contenders here.
With sports shows like this, I don't think there's any females in this show. I want like a coach, like a Kukuro no Basket or like Haikyuu. You got like a cute girl. Give me one.
This is not that.
This is
kind.
not the
All
kind of
boys-
show.
is-
I want. That's what I
Haikyuu
wanted.
is 4 boys.
It's
yeah,
all
this
boys,
is
and I don't
4
like
girls.
boys.
Or gay men.
Except for
I hate men.
Jackisboy. He's the
I
only
hate-
boy for me.
Oh, you little.
I hate men, but I love boys, like Jack is boy, for
Kiss, kiss.
The
example.
thing about this show is that the characters, they're all the same. They all
Correct.
they're all attractive in the same way. They all
They have, like,
have
the
like
same
same
build.
kind
Okay,
of personality.
Tell me
Like,
one distinction between the cast of characters on this show and the cast of characters on shit. What's that fucking show I made the worst fucking video about with the girl in that
we know what you're
agency?
talking about.
You know what I'm talking about? Whatever fucking show that was. Like, the interchangeable B Shonen crew is exactly the same as in that or any
it's just
other
so
B Shonen
strange
show.
to me that, like, wouldn't you think that they would try to give each of them a distinct look and personality to attract as many different women to the show as possible? Or are they just like, there's only one type of, like, this is just, it's not just for girls who like guys who play rugby, who have like a rugby body, because I think with a lot of these sports shows, it's about the specific body type that sport gives you, you know?
Partially,
that they're trying to show off. So, like, this show, lots of shirtless guys. They all have kind of similar, like, they're big dudes, you know? It's rugby. So some of them are, the main character's, like, smaller. But, like, most of them are, you know, they got obliques and shit. Like,
You know, I
but
mean,
they
I'm
have
wondering-
these anime boy faces that look like they are, like, fucking pasted onto the bodies. Like, they don't
it's
look
so
like their
jarring.
heads.
That's true. And it's
There's
straight
no
out of
rugby players who look like this, you know?
It's straight out of
So-
Stand My Hero's Piece of Truth. That's the
go.
show. And fucking like the captain. The captain looks like he's got a rugby body, like fucking Jonathan Joestar from
Yeah.
fucking Gen 1 of JoJo, like the most gigantic man on the fucking planet. Like those guys I could see going toe to toe. Like there's a couple of twinks on there. That's fine. I've seen sports anime about like the small
It's
guy
just-
who makes it with
it's
that
just really
unique
funny
ability.
to think. Oh, by the way, can we point out there's also a fat guy?
Yeah,
He is
the fucking
disgusting.
fat guy. And he
There's
was
this
just the most
weird,
gross-
he was
fat,
sweating
okay.
all over the
Everyone
table, man.
hates
I was
that
like,
guy.
what the fuck?
It was stinky. Ew, no, smelly.
He
Don't like
literally-
that one
his
bit.
whole thing is that he sweats profusely and smells bad and is
He
fat.
was
He's
really
just
relatable.
A
It was
disgusting
gross.
man. it was fucking strange. I was like, why would they put this guy in this show? Like,
I don't
who
know.
is-
For me.
Are there meant to be?
For
Are there
realism?
girls who are into this one? You know, like.
It's a great question.
For the
is
fat
he just
girls
a
who like fat
contrast to make
guys, there
everybody
you
else look even
go.
better?
It's a fat guy, so
Yeah,
fat
it's just
girls
that
can
he's-
project onto
There
It's
it.
you
not
go.
just that he's fat, but he's fat and also like sweats.
Out of
profusely.
shape
they
too.
lean
It's not
into
like
the
he's-
negative
It's
stuff.
not like he has muscle.
I don't
yeah.
understand.
Like, how does he play rugby? It's so.
It's confusing. It wasn't there was another rugby show like a year or two ago. I think we did on a Weebcast a while back.
No, I know what you're
it's
talking
fascinating
about.
to watch.
Yeah.
Like, I forget what it was, but it was like it was like basically the male version of this. Only like the guy's thing was that like his brother was like the ultimate Chad of rugby or something, but he's just like short. And playing rugby, it's hard to be short, but he has the unique advantage of being able to slip between people. So like he actually could be an ace if he just trains this unique skill. Whereas this is like, they don't play any rugby in this entire fucking episode. This is a rugby fucking manga. What the fuck?
Yeah.
They just all talk about their,
It's just a bunch of guys
relationships.
standing around, like just
Look.
introducing themselves and looking pretty. I guess but,
That's
like,
fine, I
again,
guess.
Look,
there's
it sucks.
I just don't think this show even will appeal to that many women. Like,
I agree.
I'm just thinking, like,
Yeah.
how many women are just into this one exact look that they want to see? Like, is the fantasy meant to be that you get gangbanged standing by all of them, or are you supposed to fucking
No,
pick
you
one?
choose.
Like,
You choose your favorite. You choose your favorite for
I don't
whatever
know, dude.
minute
I think
either
these
way.
might be team sports, dude.
I agree with you guys.
Rugby, you
I
pile
think
on
this
top
is
of each
not a
other,
good
so.
show.
What's that, man? What are you saying?
I agree with everything you guys say. I don't think this is a good show. And I mean, it's not for me in the first place. Rugby can suck a dick. I don't like it. Fuck off. But I think all things considered, at least it had like something, like some kind of drama and conflict to it.
It did have a
You know,
plot. I
speaking
was
of the
surprised.
trauma. Oh yeah, go on.
And I think that's the only reason I made it as far as I did, because normally with shows like this, I mean, you look at the artwork alone, you know what it is. And
Yeah.
I always will give them a shot on the off chance it's not what I think, you know, because first of all, I have nothing against watching shows about a bunch of pretty boys or a bunch of gay boys. You know, just earlier this year or last year was the show Given.
Or
really
this
strong-
podcast, for example. You
Yeah,
know, one of the-
really strong
progressive.
show with a bunch of gay pretty boys, but the show is well made, you know?
Yeah.
This show, I made it a little farther, because even though I probably could have dropped it within the first couple minutes, I was curious about the fact that they're, like, the main character has this... The show literally opens with him like in a major accident.
Yeah,
so we
right.
know that he's fucked up, and like the question is like, what is he gonna do? What is his? And about halfway through the episode is when he declares like, I'm gonna become a coach and I'm gonna stick around rugby.
Yeah.
And like once I understood that, I was just like, all right, that's all I needed to know. And I
Yeah.
stopped.
Well,
And I was
okay,
like,
see, that's the one. Okay, go on.
The drama also comes from the fact that like everyone pities him now, right? But I mean, the point is that he loves rugby too much, like, and he cannot let that get to him, and
Which is honorable.
yeah,
I can respect
and he
that.
becomes
Yeah.
like a part of this team regardless, because you know, to be looked down and be on this position where you're robbed of your pride is like
Yeah.
extremely tough. And I just thought that this whole concept and, you know, the delivery of it wasn't too bad. I like that aspect of it.
It wasn't like the worst show this season. That's for sure. It was kind of watchable. There were some things that weren't
It was up
totally
there,
boring.
though.
I mean, overall, would I watch more? No. But the one thing that I'm a little curious about is, like, I'm looking at like the promotional art and stuff, right? And we see like the main character like in rugby uniforms and stuff, and it makes me think like, do you think they're gonna go for the angle where he actually is able to play through like force of will, or like things turn out better than they think? It like that would be a very. It doesn't feel like that's what they're setting up
That
for
would
at
ruin
all.
the whole theme, yeah.
I agree, it would, but they could do it potentially.
Yeah, because he's wearing the uniform in the
I'm not gonna
promotional
stick around,
poster.
so I'm never gonna find out.
Well, that's fair. For the record, the blue guy who becomes a manager, blue hair guy, he also is wearing the uniform. So like, this isn't clearly like canonical, unless that guy also rejoins the team, which is unlikely. I would say.
I thought the blue guy was a girl
know.
until you said it, and I was like, okay.
I thought so too.
was like, oh,
I mean, I
okay.
figued it out during the episode, but
Yeah, I
at
didn't-
first
I
I thought
didn't
he
make
was
it
the
far
girl
enough.
manager you usually have.
Yeah, did
Yeah.
you guys notice that in the
Yeah.
in the scene where like the blue guy and the protagonist are talking, and
Yeah.
I think they're at the hospital. I don't know. I was kind of checking out, and this guy, the guy walks in, and they're
There's a big
still
silent guy. Yeah,
they're still talking, and he's just standing like right in front of them, and the guys are talking.
That's correct. And at
And-
the end of that conversation, there's a moment where they're like, "Oh, you were there this whole time."
What the fuck?
While
That
we
was so weird.
That was definitely strange. That conversation continues for a while with him standing there.
Pretty
so I don't
much.
really know.
He's like right in front of them.
He was direct, slightly diagonal, but we're talking like 5 feet away. So I guess this guy really has. Speaking of other similarly
good
shaped
stuff.
sports manga, in Eyeshield 21, anyone, one of the greatest manga of all time. There's a character there whose like special ability is his lack of presence. And
Oh,
so he's
really?
able to slip in all kinds of tricky plays with
just like
shit.
that character from Sayonara Zetsubo Sensei, who cannot be seen by others because his presence is so small.
Okay.
Right.
Oh yeah, right, that guy.
if
Until his hair blows the other way, and then you can see him all of a sudden. That's a good one.
So if you like pretty boys and if you like sports, I have this recommendation for you. It's a pretty like obscure, like a hidden gem of an anime. It's called Haikyuu, and I think you guys should check
What's
it
that one
out.
about? Can you just give us like an in-depth video about it, like right now?
I don't know. Stamboli reviews made a
I
pretty
can
good
actually,
video on it,
I can
so.
actually get. I can actually give you a 30-minute video about it, comparing it to Kuroko no
There you
Basket
go.
and suggesting
There you go.
that Kuroko no Basket's
Just
better.
to explain, that
'cause
was
it
a
is.
whole. That was just a.
But what if
what
I'm in it for the hot boys though? It's a careful
fine.
balancing act. I mean, it all depends. It all depends. But I'll just say for the record though, finally, the reason my contention about this is like him getting back on the field. The show is called Number 24. Like a manager doesn't have a number. A player has a number. I'm just saying these seem to be small hints, perhaps, that he'll be back in there. But I don't know.
I mean, on the cover, he also has like is wearing the same uniform as.
Exactly. So I don't know. Like in his manager, he seems to have the number 24 on him. So maybe it's I'm totally wrong. But...
Enough
Yeah,
about
that's
number
enough.
24.
That's enough.
And we've covered this fucking first half of the Winter 2020 season. So if you boys all want to reconvene on should we do it on the 14th or 15th? What do you guys think?
I think 15th, just to give that day to catch up on
15th
everything.
sounds
I'm not doing
Yeah,
it.
so on the
go
15th,
fuck
we'll cover
yourselves.
all the other first episodes. Also, if you guys are interested, I was thinking maybe somewhere around like the 22nd or 3rd, we could follow up on all the shows we continued watching and cover their second episodes.
Well,
second or
let's,
third, just to basically figure out what
Alright.
what else gets dropped, you know.
I don't know if I want to watch episode 2 of all these fucking shows. Episode 1, I'm in.
I didn't
but
even
2,
make it through all
that's
of
a separate animal.
I'm saying 2 of only the shows that we did not drop.
Okay.
Like,
Okay,
anything
that's a more inviting
like
proposition.
anything that we're still planning, because there's still a lot of good shows already.
That's true.
And not even half the shows are out yet. So we're in a pretty good fucking position for this season. But
Yep.
you know, depending on, it might take a few episodes to really determine like which shows will be interesting to talk about in the long run, you know? So I'm just thinking like, yeah, whichever ones we did not drop, we could do like episode 2. I don't know. We'll figure it out later, but
Sounds good.
we'll definitely be covering the rest of the first episodes here on the 15th. Probably with the same crew. I'm gonna also add, if you go to the About page here on KHANTENT, then you will see the schedule. I've redone it, but the schedule, I should have all of January
up.
scheduled there. So get ready to watch the stuff we're gonna watch in January. Where can I find each of you? Jackisboy, where do I
You
find
can
you?
find me on YouTube, just Jackisboy, and Twitter, Jackisboy.
Just Jack his boy.
Jack is
like
boy.
Manmode?
I'm a boy.
Yeah, I actually won't be on the next one, but you can check me
Okay.
out on youtube.com/manmode, and on Twitter, manmode_, I think.
All right, and best man ever.
You know me. My links are there. Bestie man.
And my links are down there too. Thanks everybody for coming out. We'll look forward to the next one. Bye.
See you soon. Bye.